Welcome to Backpacker Radio, presented by The Trek. I am your co-host, Zach Badger Davis. Sitting to my 12 o'clock is...
Hi, I'm Juliana Chaunce, aka Chaunce.
Thank you all for being here at our first live podcast. Okay, this is not our first live podcast, but we're treating it like our first live podcast because the last one ended with Chaunce.
Breaking my face.
Yeah.
Did anyone see those photos? Is anyone like a long-time listener saw the photos of me breaking my face? Yeah, you guys know. Let's hope for the one goal we have for tonight is I leave with my face intact. That's all I want.
Yeah.
It seems very feasible. We learned. We lived, we learned, we amended our tactics.
Cliff's notes of the live podcast that didn't exist was Jabba was our guest. We got banned from the bar, and Chaunce broke her face, so we're gonna do better tonight.
Yeah, if Jabba, here's the thing to learn. If Jabba ever offers you a piggyback ride to an Uber that is 10 feet away from you, say no. Like I tried to take I'm like, less steps? Sure. Say no. I've got scars.
Just saying that, kids. We're gonna make the reminders before we get to today's interview very brief because you guys don't want to hear me, you want to hear this guy. But for anyone listening to this that is pissed that they live in Colorado and they didn't know about the fact that we were hosting a live podcast, first of all, shame on you. Secondly, if you want to make sure that you don't miss the notification going forward, subscribe to our newsletter. That's the best way to ensure that you don't miss future Backpacker Radio shenanigans. And the other thing worth stating is thanks to you guys for having an awesome turnout. If this goes well and Chaunce does not break her face, we're thinking about maybe bringing this to other cities. So if you're listening to this and you work at a venue or you know someone that works at a venue that can host us, hit us up, podcast@thetrek.co.
I'll also say if you guys are here sitting, which you are, and you have any thoughts afterwards, if you want to let us know, podcast@thetrek.co. If this goes well, we could also end up making this, Denver, here, us, an annual thing. And if you have any input, good, bad, or ugly, we would rather hear it from you than not. And just let us know, and we'll take it to heart. Maybe cry.
Yeah. Often tears. Let's get to today's interview. By a show of hands, who actually knew who the guest was for today's podcast? We did a really bad job hiding it. Okay, we got 2 people.
I'm not wearing my
3
glasses.
people. Okay, so this is a surprise. That's good.
I didn't know.
Who still doesn't know?
Yeah, you're not gonna hurt us feeling.
It's okay, we do a radio show, it's not TV.
I'm the hope for a third live podcast.
You're our correction.
Oh man, all right, no more broken faces.
Don't pick me up today.
That's not my job.
It's not your job.
Well, by the end of this one, I promise you're going to be very infatuated with this guy. He is incredible. He has been hiking for more than 12 years across the American West and across the world. In addition to better known trails like the PCT, CDT, PNT, and Idaho Centennial Trail, Dirtmonger has hiked numerous remote desert trails, including the Desert Trail, Vagabond Loop, Loda High Route, and Mongolian Rim Trail. I get it wrong every time. No.
Monger.
Yep, that's the one. I'm not ever going to say it again. He also has lots of experience in South America, having trekked several high routes in Peru and Bolivia. Dirtmonger has even stitched together his own route, the Great Basin Trail.
We have free stickers up there for it.
Yep. Death Valley to northeastern Nevada. Dirtmonger, thank you so much for rejoining us here on Backpacker Radio.
Thanks for having me back. I'm very happy to be back.
Yeah. So I want to hear from you guys. Who heard the first conversation with Dirtmonger? Okay, we've got 20-ish hands. I'd say about half people here.
Can we do that again, but verbally? I'm not wearing my glasses. Who heard the
If you heard the first interview, make noise, please.
Thank you.
All right. For the half that haven't been blessed with that first conversation,
More than a half.
yeah, we're gonna dive right into the clown mouth.
Oh,
So this is a term, I don't know, did you coin this or this is something that existed?
I described it,
Okay,
and my buddy coined it, but I went with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the clown mouth?
The little red ring around your balloon knot that kind of gets chafed up when you're walking or biking a little bit. Looks like a smiley clown face.
For the innocent, what is a balloon knot?
That thing you poop out of.
The shape it makes.
What was it?
The shape it makes.
I never heard of that.
It's the shape the
Oh,
hole makes.
yes, like, that thing.
Yeah, it looks like when you tie a little.
Yeah, little balloon.
Yeah. And so a clown mouth is when you've got the big red lips.
Yeah, it looks like a big giant smiley face, even though you're probably not smiling.
Yeah. This was the best part of that episode for me because I had no idea what a clown mouth was. I thought it meant that Dirtmonger was funny, and the whole time listening to this episode, everyone was
It just
like,
means I have a red ring around my cornhole.
yeah, they're like, you have to ask him about the clown mouth. Like Twinkle, if anyone heard those episodes, Twinkle was like, you have to ask him about the clown mouth. And so I'm sitting here like, this guy's gonna be so hilarious. Like, tell me what it is. And he said it on the episode, and I did not see that coming at all.
Well, I mean, when you start hiking for a long period of time and you start getting like a catcher's mitt on your butt, like that's kind of,
As one does.
yeah, over time, just like your feet get hard and so does your, cheeks.
Yeah.
What's
So,
the catcher's mitt?
Like it looks like, like a catcher's, does anyone know what a catcher is?
I know what a catcher's mitt looks like, but where is it?
Well, it's
Is
just
it
hard,
between-
it's like leathery, and it's like a wide open glove, kind of like if you spread your butt cheeks open, and it's like,
So that's what it looks like between them.
if it's spread open, it looks like a catcher's mitt.
I like that we went from a balloon knot to a catcher's mitt real quickly.
I think they're kind of almost one and the same, except the catcher's mitt
Like a
doesn't
caterpillar
smile.
into a butterfly. Yeah, that's the natural metamorphosis of an asshole.
Yes.
There it is.
He needs to tell them what the people that didn't hear it, he needs to tell them what the man pond is.
Oh gosh.
This is part of the clown mouth story, guys. We'll move on to like the new stuff, but, and I'm sorry if you're listening to this
Well,
in your ears later when this airs, but my voice needs to stop doing that. The man pond was the part that said me.
It was a term we coined when you get those really juicy cheeks rubbed together, and you can't really. You could use mayonnaise or olive oil, whatever you want to use, but if you put TP in there, it's kind of your man pond.
You're grazing over it. You put mayonnaise on it.
Well, it's oily, so it just lubricates it. But when you walk, it goes. It's all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever just put like the unopened packet in there and then just like squeeze your cheeks?
You can't use plastic.
Okay.
I don't have that strong of a cheek.
Do you put it on the toilet paper and then put the toilet paper between the cheeks, or do you just
Well,
put
you
raw
kind of have to,
mayo?
because if you don't, that toilet, like when you see people with they try to shave, and old men used to put like TP on their cheeks, and they would pull it off, and there would just be like leftover toilet paper on their open sores. It's kind of like what that is.
I'm very excited for all the people that came here thinking they were going to get a hiking podcast, and we're talking about
think
just
this is
lather
very important.
your balloon knot with mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Who here is shaved?
Anyway,
This is an audio podcast.
why not make a name for it and have
Yeah.
fun with it?
So they
It's
can
gonna,
use this.
it's gonna sting, but sometimes you might have to put a little piece of toilet paper up in there, and then suddenly it doesn't sting.
You mentioned mayonnaise and olive oil. Do you have a preference between the two?
Mayonnaise, just because I like it tastes a bit better.
It doesn't perform better.
I like to think it does. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
slow release.
Yeah, I think I just like the taste of it better. I want to be the one that likes mayonnaise. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, well there you go. There's a fun tip.
I think a lot of the world likes olive oil, but I want to be the one that likes
You're
mayonnaise.
bringing it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a go-to brand?
Ooh.
That's going to be a nice plug for Hellman's right now.
I just feel like whatever's free in the convenience store is good enough for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's nothing better in the world than sucking on a tube of mayonnaise.
Appreciate the choir, my friend.
Like people get mad or upset at me because I put mayonnaise on a hot dog, and I'm like, come on.
Escape from my ass.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
What's the problem? There's nothing weird with that.
No,
I
what's
mean,
making
I'm
it
not from
weird?
Wisconsin, so I don't put mustard on my
Yeah.
hot dog. So.
Talk about some hiking?
Yeah. Why not?
Alright, so the last time we talked about PCT, CDT, Vagabond Loop, LA Basin Urban Through Hike, Loda High Trail, Great Basin Trail, Sky Island Traverse. I think that's just scratching the surface. There were others involved. But I knew that's where we had left off last time was, I can't believe we didn't get to this on the first podcast, the Poop Loop.
Oh yeah, that one.
It's a natural segue.
Yeah, I had climb
The
off on
mayonnaise.
that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was more climb off from a bike seat that I wasn't really used to. So I basically transitioned from a little bit of, or a lot of hiking into biking, and a lot of that was due to injury.
Can you first introduce the route?
Yeah, it's Arizona Trail, Utah, Nevada, Idaho, and then hit the Great Divide Mountain Bike Trail and come back around. So it was a big loop. I called it the poo-poo because no one doesn't give a shit about what it's called. So, I don't know.
You got 50 people here that beg to differ.
Do we need to call anything? So I just call it the poop loop. It doesn't mean shit to anyone but me. That's what I figured with it. So, but it was 5,500 miles, and ultimately, like, I had a foot injury from the previous year when I did the Skylark Traverse, the PCT, and the CDT, and I had a plantar fasciitis injury that just would not get healed. So I'm not going to wait around for anything. So I bought a bike, and then first time into bike packing, and just rode 5,500 miles in 70 days.
This one does.
Yeah. And I got my foot better. That was the whole point.
That was literally your first bike packing trip?
I've mountain biked before, but that was literally my first bike.
Like first overnight?
First overnight with all my stuff on a bike. Yeah.
How long did this take you?
70 days. Yeah.
What's the average daily mileage? Because my brain
gosh,
doesn't do
I need a calculator for that one. But I don't know, I never looked at it that way. It was always about like learning something new and adjusting to the pace of something. And because I had backpacked before, it just didn't seem as intimidating as like backpacking. So I just felt like as long as I bought a good bike that could handle all the terrain I was going through, I should be okay.
I remember the last time we chat, you were talking about you kind of viewed your life in different chapters. I imagine this being your first bike packing trip. Is that the first entry into the new chapter?
That was kind of when I started realizing I had a lot of wear and tear on the vehicle a little bit. Late 30s, starting to really feel, a lot of mileage. I don't want to say numbers and shit, but it was just a lot of mileage on the vehicle, and by that point in time, like, I needed not like a month to recover. I needed like 6 months to recover. But I'm not really good at that, or at least I wasn't then. Probably not now either. Which in turn, like, that's why I jumped on the bike. I just wasn't gonna wait around to get better, even though I might have been trying to get better. I just wanted to be outside. Like, that was the most important thing to me. And the bike was kind of the next thing. I like things simple. Very simple, and the bike was the next thing that was the most simple. I didn't need as much, like, I didn't have to carry a bunch of crap, and I like moving through a terrain, across a terrain, and that was a very important piece of it that that I became adapted to, that I knew within the first week that this was like something I was interested in.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned this in part 1, which people can go back and listen to, but you yada-yada'd over there's miles on the vehicle, and you don't want to get into it, which is very humble of you, but roughly how many miles are on the vehicle?
Oh, I just don't, I think part of it is like I don't know where to start. Right?
Over under 30K? Over under 50K?
You mean kilometers?
No, miles.
No, miles, over.
50,000?
Yeah, over.
Over under 60,000?
I'm probably over that, but now I think it's okay, so
75,000.
it doesn't, like, if I still feel like I'm in the game a little bit, so I don't look at like my stats until I'm gonna be done with it. That's how I look at it.
I'm not saying this is a car with high mileage, I'm like impressed. This
that was one thing.
is me and all. This is
Circumference.
not me being like traded in.
The circumference of Earth is about 25,000 miles, so he's done a couple of laps.
Yes,
Probably. Yeah, and now the bike kind of throws something in there more, because it then, like, bike mileage is like 3 times longer than backpacking, or Jesus, such a weird backpacking. And so now it just kind of extends more of my walking life.
Yeah.
So I can actually have more mileage on the car.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, that's great.
Like, I think walking, it's so silly how simple of a thing it is, or like how primordial it is a little bit, but it puts a lot on your body, right? Like, as you get older, like, you start, I feel like I'm slouching up here right now, but it's something that the bike on.
Did you sign the waiver?
I think this is the waiver, maybe, but I think as the bike just helps me kind of at least hope for something longer, right? Like, because of the mileage I put on it in a period of time. Like I've been doing endurance things since I was my early 20s.
Yeah.
So it's not just walking, but it's running 50-mile races, 100-mile races, or playing collegiate sports. That stuff kind of wears and tears up your body over time. And because I just walk doesn't mean like I'm not putting any more wear and tear on. I mean, like my ass is a catcher's mitt, for God's sake. You know what I mean? Yeah.
For those curious, Dirtmonger was a collegiate basketball player. You can go back, I think it's episode 231 is my note. When we spoke last, you spoke very poetically and lovingly about your time in the backcountry backpacking. Does bikepacking scratch the itch in the same way for you?
No. It provides a time gap, you know, in between something I really love to do. You know, it's something that I think what I've sussed out over the years is that there's certain things in this world that are better to walk, and there's certain things in this world that are better to like bike. And I think part of that is like not wanting to slog through something. I think that part of goes to having routes that I've done before where there have been very difficult routes, and I'm unsure if I would want to do anything if I wouldn't be willing to do it twice. And that's kind of important to me, and I think for some of this it still spans to like a life, like a childhood dream of like trying to connect the world by somehow, and I think I've learned to live with that. Not the whole world is like okay to be walked in some way. It was kind of hard, but I think because I fell into like kind of fortuitous, I fell into an injury where I then learned how to bike pack to where I could actually bike pack areas that are better to bike pack, you know. But there's nothing that compares to backpacking and walking in the wilderness. There's nothing that compared to that.
Would you have, do you think, the same perspective if you were currently sitting here 20 years old, no injuries ever? Or do you think that this...
If I was 20 years old,
yeah,
and
like
no
if you're
injuries
20,
ever?
no injuries, you are a fresh machine ready to run. Are you
I have
are
the
you
internet
thinking
now.
the same things? You are here today. Like, are you still thinking the same mentality around this, or does that change?
I like to think that if people have dreams about something, it's something that comes from deep inside themselves versus just what they hear or see. And if it's something that you really want to do, then I think you should go however you want to go about applying it. It took me a long time to like do the dreams that I wanted to do, and I hold that very valuable to me. So it's important to me, and it took a long time to understand that like I just didn't want to walk the world. It was like, well, some things aren't really worth walking.
Yeah.
And it was advantageous for me to find that bikepacking thing, because it still provides me with a sense of wildness. I'm not going to say wilderness, but it provides me a sense of wildness and adventure that can fulfill what in between like what wilderness areas, you know. I don't know what I would say if I was 20. It took me a long time to get to where I was at, you know. There's a lot that comes in with that.
The reason I'm wondering is like, I did the AT in 2019, and Zach did it in 2011.
Drink.
And I don't know about Zach's year, but my year, like, you hear about packing. You hear about would it be blue blazing? What is it you do in the Shenandoah where you take the water route? Would that be blue blazing? What's it
Aqua
called?
blazing.
Aqua blazing.
I get a lot of shit for that to this day.
Right. Okay. So that's what I'm going to is. When you're doing a trail like the Appalachian Trail and you decide to do a side venture that maybe is more like choose your own adventure for you, right? CDT, you get all these choose your adventure vibes that people understand that. But AT, I feel like if you are to do an aqua blaze, like you get shit for that. How do you come into your own and decide a philosophy like you have where not everything's meant to be walked? How do you have confidence in that?
I think that's what I probably struggled with most, was like understanding that whatever dreams I had was something I really had, and that no matter who was around me might not have believed in it, that I had to like believe in myself. And at that point in time, it was only like I can only control about what I can control. But I mean that in regard to where it's a good question, because I think that was like the hardest part of everything was. I wanted to explore the world. I found through hikers when I was very young, and then kind of wanted that wandering type aspect from it. And it didn't come from like seeing other thru hikers. It came from like, my homeless father who's living in corrugated, or not corrugated, but just stairs underneath the church in Reno. Like, just hearing about him trying to like go do things, and it was like, oh, I have that wandering thing. And I think once I started like, I've never wanted to be like anybody else.
Yeah.
And once I started like getting better at it, then to me it became like, it sounds corny saying it, but like an art form in a way. So I wanted to like paint a picture with my feet, because that meant I was just representing myself and not anybody else.
Yeah.
And even if there's like a definitive trail or sign trail that you're following, like that's great, and it's a great experience that you should have. But I just feel like once you get kind of like set in your own ways, it's about creation. It's about that creativity that you can apply, not only from what your footsteps are walking, but it's just this. It's just freedom you have in just being who you are.
Well, people say like when you're through hiking or when you're doing long distance hiking, you're taking a break from the real world, right? Like you're going out there, you're experiencing that. But at the same time, real world, you're going through high school, you're getting pushed towards college, then get a job. Long distance hiking, you do the AT, then people expect the CDT or the PCT, then the CDT. Like there's still a assumed path to follow, and it's hard to. I think personally, like this is something I struggle with. It's hard to say, well, maybe I want to do this, but not that way. Maybe I want to do this hike, but I don't want to thru hike it. Maybe like things that are against the grain in terms of the hiker mentality, and finding confidence in, well, I'm happy doing it and that's enough. Like that's something where I, like for me genuinely, it's like, how do you get that?
I didn't worry about like them. Just
No offense, guys.
No, it's not an offense. What I'm saying is that it's. I didn't worry about anybody else other than people that were close to me.
Yeah.
Right. So I struggle with my family life, like for them to be okay with me doing that. I think I had to get through that first. Once I got through it, it was like I wanted to forge my own way. But I think it probably stems from like playing ball. Like I didn't want to be caught up in flashiness. I wanted to be there for the love of the game or whatever it is. Like that was something that was very important to me. And it's the same thing on trail. Like I want to be my own way. And it took me a while to do that without feeling my own insecurities about how people might feel about me. Right? Like I didn't want expectations on any of that. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. I didn't want to do what anyone else wanted to do, but it took me a while to get to that point.
I hate to retrace steps again, but I think this is so foundational to your story and very interesting. You mentioned in the previous podcast that you came up from a troubled background, and I remember your mom was very concerned that you were going to turn into your dad.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I wouldn't say it was troubled, right? But I'm not troubled at all.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. But my mom was always afraid that any idea I had was never going to come back, right? So nowadays we have so much. It's not even nowadays. It's just if you have a good support system, you can kind of go do whatever you want. Like for me, it was like that's how I wanted to explore the world. It was how I wanted to travel, and I'm still not even doing anything that I had dreamt of. It just takes stages to go do it. I'm learning how to do this. I had the dream. I tried some things that didn't work out because I had to work out through my family. I started on normal trails. Excuse me. I understood that I wanted to do it my own way. I started creating trails, and now I want to connect things around the world. I just want to do it my own way. That's it. And it's only because I just want to be myself and whatever I want to be.
Yeah.
Whatever I've dreamt of doing since I was a kid, I've never dreamt of having a house and a kid and no offense, and being married, no offense. I didn't really have, I didn't have that type of same idealization of something like that. But it just so happened that my dad had a weird shit, and it fucked up my whole family, but I'm in doing this now, and for me to include everyone else, and now as much as it might scare them, like they just know it's normal, you know? My friends know it's normal.
Did you get pushback from people close to you
Absolutely.
on not wanting to get married, not wanting to have kids?
Nothing. I mean, I was always expected to do something successful,
Yeah.
for sure. I was always the kooky one that wanted to go run in the woods and, hey, I want to go run in 40 and I'll be right back tomorrow, you know? I was always doing shit like that, like all the time. And then eventually I would just like, hey, drop me off here and I'll see you in a week.
Did you ever announce it, like, hey, guys, I don't want to get married, I don't want kids, or did people just
No, I didn't. I never like announced it that way. I think more or less it was about like how I was supposed to be as someone who was looked as like a leader in a way, you know, like I'm tall. I wouldn't say I'm smart after all this clown mouth talk, but like enough to people to like look to me for like direction, and all I wanted to do was like, I want to know what's in South America, Patagonia, what's in the Outback. I want to, you know, and the more I kept learning, the more like I kept wanting to explore. And things moved slower back then. Like things move so fast nowadays, but it took a long time. I mean, I don't regret any of it at all. But like, I often can fantasize. Not fantasize. That's a ridiculous word. I can often think about like what it would have been like to. Because there was times I took off when I was 22, but had no idea what I was doing. There just wasn't this outreach of things. It just wasn't. So it was like in LA, like, well, see ya. I'm gonna go sleep in the dirt for a bit, and then I'd come back, like, because I felt bad about how people felt. Like, it just doesn't happen like that anymore for me, you know. And I don't look at like that awareness of all the stuff that we can do now is like a wrong thing. I'd like to be a part of it for sure. Like that's what I think the last time was like, if you feel something, go do it. Like I'm talking to myself when I say that, because everything is gonna work out anyways. They were all still gonna be fine with me, you know. Like if I didn't have like my grandmother at that time, like, you know, I mean, she just accepted me for whoever I was, you know, no matter what I did. And I was always like, oh, I want to go over here, I want to go over there, you know. But she knew it was real, you know, and it's damn real, you know, because I'll do it, you know. So, yeah.
You mentioned something I think that was very interesting in an earlier answer, that you said you don't ever want to do something unless you'd be willing to do it twice. Have you ever done anything where you feel like you wouldn't want to do it again?
Anything big? No. I'm pretty selective on what I want to do. I'm also like thematically oriented towards things. I like the desert, so I want to do as much desert as possible. And I want creative ways to do it. And sometimes that means like using Brett Tucker's routes, which are just incredible. Sometimes it means making my own routes. I think thematically, themes make sense to me, you know? There's nothing I've done, well, it's probably also the reason why I haven't done other things. I won't do something that I don't have interest in, like right off the bat. I will do something if I have like what I think is an interest in, and generally they've panned out to prove that I would do it again. You know, there's some things I'd be like, well, that was amazing, but yeah, of course I would do it, just saying it hypothetically, but I might not, you know, maybe I would do it a different way.
Does this ever overflow into like your work life?
Yeah.
Like when you say I don't want to do things that I don't want to do, and I know you're not a terrible employee because we talked in the last episode about how good of an employee you are, but I can see that being something that it's difficult, you know, to
Well,
fit into
I think
work
I
life.
need like a parallel within life. Like my work life appeases my personality, and it reflects very similarly of what a through hike would entail. It's the same type of hours, you're pushing yourself, it's more mentally than physically. Like that, I can't get away from what I love to do. So to disguise it, I do a job that fulfills that urge to keep going. The hard part is like trying to find rest and all that stuff. Mentally breaks you down just as much as physically stuff, which I feel like I've understood more this year than any. But I also had a year off, so maybe I'm just being kind of soft right now. But I think if you could, I don't need something to be completely mirrored. I just need something to like fulfill, you know, and I have a job that fulfills it, you know.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to run anything. I just want to be a part of something that makes me think and create and can't wait to do what I want to do next. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, luckily I have a full-time seasonal job, but for that, so something I enjoy.
Oh yeah.
I want to jump back into the theme of you getting into bike packing. So I admittedly hate being on a bike for any distance, any period of time. Even sitting in the stool is uncomfortable for me right now. The idea of doing this is like recreation. It seems like torture. So either for me or the audience or the listener, sell us on bike packing. What are the benefits of this above and beyond the weekend?
Sure. I mean, it's nice to go into something new. I'm not planning to like work full-time ever. I want to keep adventuring ever, and I want to be self-sufficient in that. It's important to me. So I want to be able to provide, I want to have a job that provides me with doing what I want to do. But in order to do that as I get older, I need to have other exercises that help me do what I love to do most, which is backpacking. So bikepacking comes into play. I think if you're looking to do this for a very long time, it's nice to have something that can help you keep doing something for a very long time. I think bikepacking to me helps me experience wildness in a different type of pace that's not as grueling over time. Spending a lot of miles outside by yourself in the middle of nowhere, it doesn't weigh on you per se, but it does take a toll. So having the bike to go travel through something, across something, it does provide that, just that ease into the next thing. I do want to say, like, because we all have like backpacking experience, bikepacking is going to be so much easier. You're just not carrying everything on your back, and it took me a bit to like understand that, not even a bit, 5 days. The biggest thing was like the sense of pace, and I think it was nice, bless you, I think it was nice to have a different sense of pace where my job may feel like a similar pace with my backpacking stuff, but getting on the bike, that develops a different sense of pace that makes me feel refreshed, renewed, and it does save the body. Again, I might get a catcher's mitt down there, but my feet, my knees, like all these things that you would get tore up from doing hard miles year after year after year, it just does not have that effect. I know, because if I do a hard year, then I'm feeling it the year after that. Well, guess what the thing I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna go bike to get stronger so I can then go do something else again. Now, it may not be, it's my method, but I'm not gonna stop. That's my whole fucking point. I'm not fucking stopping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. Feels like
Just
you some
like
cheers to that. You mentioned something when we were downstairs in the green room, which you've learned about in Elon's episode, and I got to sit in one. It wasn't green. But you mentioned that you did bike packing to heal your plantar fasciitis in between hiking. I didn't know you could heal while bike packing.
A lot of it's like pounding, right? Like if you keep walking on something, it's gonna keep pounding it, but I'm not like pounding on my foot when I was bike packing, you know? It works different muscles. It's just a completely different exercise. And the best thing is I'm outside, there's no one around, which I'm not the most social hiker out there, let alone biker, but like I would choose the most shoulder season possible to go do whatever, but like it just doesn't have the same pounding effect as hiking.
I just never knew you could do an activity to heal for another.
It made me stronger. It
Yeah.
developed muscles.
Did you know that going into it? Like, did you know you would heal certain things, or was this like a cool whoa?
No, I hoped. That was my intention.
Yeah.
I hoped it. I believed in it, and it worked out. But within the first 2 weeks, I was like, okay, like my foot's feeling better, especially if I'm like hiker biking or whatever.
Well, I feel like if someone gets injured on a long trail, you typically hear they go home and they try to like rest and recover for a bit, and then like maybe we'll try
I'm
to
not
test
sitting
it
at
out.
home moping.
Well, yeah, I feel like that's like not possible
It's
for
not.
you,
No,
but
let's get on the bike. Let's go do something.
I just don't hear other people that will use that as a remedy.
Why not?
I don't know. I've
I don't
never
know.
thought of it.
I mean, I guess it's. Well, I mean, people
Have you ever
get.
tried just sitting on the couch? It's pretty fucking nice.
I know. I mean, I don't know. Like, how many pro drinkers are in here when they have a hard night the next day? Or just drink a beer and they feel fine.
What's the laziest thing you've done this week?
This week,
Yeah, the laziest thing.
I didn't do anything today, other than drive down here.
Other than like a live
I
podcast.
was
in
at
front of
work at
50 people.
3:30 this morning.
His laziest day was being at work at 3:30, so he
And
could have
then
time
doing
for
a
the live
live
podcast.
I don't
Where he
know.
was the guest for.
And
I
I'm
mean,
gonna go
like,
over
I'm never gonna like let you know what was like lazy
You're
or
not
whatever.
lazy, you're
No,
5
because
minute
I'm always
couch
gonna be
break.
hard on myself on that
Do you eat a
stuff.
potato chip?
With
Do you eat snacks?
I mean, today I had a donut at 6
Yeah, you
a.m. in the
did.
morning. It was just a crispy. My driver brought it in for me, but that's all I ate till I had pizza a couple hours ago.
Yeah. By the way, we're just a block away from Voodoo. Fun fact.
And we
Yeah,
have
we
taco
saw
truck
that.
outside.
Yeah.
We did this last time where we just wanted to talk philosophy the entire time, and we barely scratched the surface of his resume.
What you're saying though, I rode that bike that year. My foot got stronger. It didn't hurt anymore, and then I went and hiked 3 routes in South America, and then did the Oregon Desert Trail like nothing ever happened. It was just like I'm strong again, and a lot of it's like building core and all this other stuff that I was. You build stuff on the bike that you can't always build on bike pack or backpacking. You know, you get the T-Rex arms and all these other things, right?
That's why it's like a mind-blowing thing because it's like such a simple concept.
It
right?
wasn't like I'm sitting in a strategy room with the big minds in the world. It was just like I need something to do, and I think I can do this and go travel. Like I want to go travel across places, and this was one thing that I knew I could do that I had somewhat familiarity with. I didn't know how to like tune up a bike. I mean, I kind of did, but I would be fucking assed out. Like if I tried, you
Sure,
know.
but how many
Yeah.
people do you hear about that go to do the Appalachian Trail and they take 6 months off and then they get injured in month 2 and they're like, my hike's done, and they go home and it's like, damn, those 4 more months, they could bike pack.
I mean, that's always like, that's
You know?
always tough. I mean, I've had like injuries on the PCT where I had to take a week off, and that's hard, right?
Would you have been able to bike pack?
Well, I was still determined to hike the PCT that year, right? Like this was kind of like, after that big year in 16, I had another route that was eventually became the whatever route that I did in 19. I don't know how to name things, right? Unless it's like thematically involved in an area, like the Great Basin Trail, right? But I had this other route involved that I was like trying to put out there, but my foot just wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
And I, rather than start it and try to muscle through something, it was not good enough. And that was hard for me to decide. But in order for me to like still do something, I'm not gonna work year round.
Yeah, see, like, when you say it, it makes so much sense. Like when you say it, it's a no-brainer. But when I think about how many people get off trail and things like plantar fasciitis, why has no one else thought of this?
I tell you this though, I said it kind of sounds like a joke, but there's no way I was gonna like try to heal and get better and wait a year to work. Like I'm gonna find out some other way to go do something. And I knew that like I need to be physical, I need to be active, and I knew that biking would do that. I could ride 100 miles a day. You know what that feels like to me? Like a 30. Let's go do that. You
There's
know?
some mayo
Like,
between your cheeks and what it feels like.
wow, then you have like a chamois underneath and you use cream and it feels good, but don't let it fool you. You can get an open sore down there and suddenly your clown is
That's too
smiling
much
at you.
fun.
I do want to get through backpacking, obviously, but what's the longest day you've done on a bike? At least let's go with the poop loop.
I think on the poop loop I had 145, I think on that.
How many hours is that?
I think that might have been 11 or something like that.
The longest day I've hiked is about 40 miles. Walk me through.
The pace of things?
No, just like the
Or-
pain when you get off the bike at the end of the
Oh,
day.
no.
Yeah, we actually don't want to hear about that.
Well, it's your clown mouth, your catcher's mitt is very similar to your feet, right? So when you first start going off on a backpacking trip, your feet are killing you, your tires are killing you, right? Same thing on a bikepacking trip, your freaking taint is like crushed, right? And it's like you need time to like, you're gonna, take more breaks, you can't tape up your clown mouth, but you could at least like take care of it, put some lotion on it, like massage it.
Well, I was gonna ask about that.
You know what I mean? But
How hairy are you?
down there, I'm not very hairy down there.
So you could tape it.
No, but you want to keep your hair because it helps with like getting ingrown hairs and all these other things. That,
Oh, it wouldn't add to the shape?
no, you
Because I would think
ingrown
like
hairs
shave
make it worse.
Leukotape
No,
it.
you want to be like, no, they have this beautiful like lotion where you can have like menthol in it. Like it feels like you have like a spa down there when you're riding on your bike. It's
You
really
can
nice.
smell your ass when right now.
Well, I can smell menthol coming up. It's better than like fucking
Man.
normal shit. But no, I think it's something that when you're first starting a hike, you take care of your feet. When you're first starting a bike trip, you take care of your ass. That's it. Like those are the two things. Once your ass gets going, just like your feet get going, you're doing 100. You're like, I could ride that saddle all day.
I just gotta work on my ass.
Yeah, work on your ass. That's what I did last week. I just went on a trip for 350 miles in 7 days just to work on my ass. That was it.
I love that you casually dropped this shit. Like, oh yeah, the last week 700 or 350 miles, 7 days, no biggie.
It wasn't
This
bad.
is why we had him. He does so many miles, guys. He's so humble about it the whole
Yeah.
time.
But we're gonna get into some more of the nitty gritty here, because I don't even know what some of these trails are. So this will be a learning experience for all of us, I'm sure. Tell me about the Salcante trek in Machu
What'd you
Picchu.
say? Asungate. Okay, so.
The Gringo trying to do this is not gonna go well.
Salcante. It's kind of like the Mugalon, whatever it is. Actually, after the poop loop, during that time, I got invited by Swami to go down to South America to do some of these routes that he had planned for a while. I was very honored to go down with someone at that point in time he's probably still like the most prolific hiker in the world. Meaning we're pretty good friends for a long time, and I knew that when he asked me, it was obviously a no-brainer, but I also knew that because I'd been biking, I got stronger, that I knew that I was ready for it, and we flew down there and we did the Salcantay trek, which is, it's a pretty, has anyone done it in here? Like seen Machu Picchu or anything like that? Okay.
You guys have all done the sock and tie?
But it's seen Machu Picchu, so like,
Lincoln Trail.
yeah, exactly. So it's not like this crazy route. It's more or less goes over one pass to get to the Machu Picchu. Excuse me. And then we did the Asungate. Has anyone done Asungate? Right. So it's near there, and it's like where
Thank
Rainbow
you for
Mountain.
pronouncing it, by the way.
The main reason we were there was to do. I'm really trying to think about this. It was the Cordillera Real Traverse, which went from Illimani to Ilampu, outside of La Paz, Bolivia.
Can you zoom out for someone that's not good at geography? Not me, but someone who might not be. And give like broader context to where these are?
Well, Salcantay is Machu Picchu, basically, right? It'll lead to Machu Picchu. So
Is it the
that's-
same route with the alpacas, or is it a different one? Like the
Oh no,
tourist?
they're there for
So
sure.
like all the people that do the paid trip to Machu Picchu, is that the same?
It's not the main one. But other people are on there. They pay it. Like I remember, God, there was this guy like barking out in the fucking. Like he was just vomiting all night because you're camped at the first like pass at like 14,000 feet. Dude was just like yakking at the guy. It's kind of giggly fun. And then Asungate is another popular one, so it's kind of near the same area.
Peru?
Yeah, it's Peru. What's the famous city there? Near Cusco. Jeez.
Emperor's
So it's near Cusco, but you go down a different area, and then we flew from there to La Paz, and then that's where we were really there for. So we used these first two to acclimate. So we were trying to get some high elevation acclimatization, so we can then go to the Cordillera Real, and then Swami had developed a route that was like it was a high route across the Kings Range, just east of La Paz. So it's this huge range between two 20,000 foot volcanoes, and that's what we were like traversing across.
How long is the Salcantay and
It's-
the can you say that one more time?
Asungate. Salcantay, maybe 60 miles? Not even that. Maybe
Okay.
50. Asungate is very similar to that.
Okay, and then the biggie.
Cordillera Real was probably 120.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the hard part about this one is it's above 20,000 feet?
It's above, well, it's flanked by two 20,000 foot volcanoes, and we're using like high passes to go up and over. So we probably went over, I don't know, a few 15,000 foot passes or whatever, but it's kind of more cross country. It was wonderful. It was like my first true wilderness experience. Going to like Asungate and Sakante, it's like, it's not as much wilderness because it's such a tourist destination, but when you get to like the Cordillera Real, you're not seeing anyone but like a shepherd up there in the middle of nowhere. It was so rad.
Does 14,000 feet there feel like 14,000 feet here?
No, because the mountains are still going up like another 5,000 feet. So you feel like you're just at camping level, but you're camping and like your heart's like, you know, just like pounding, you know. We did that, and then, what year is this again? Jeez.
Can I pause you there?
Yeah, go
I
for
want
it.
to know, so you're backpacking with Swami. Are you learning things from him, or you've done enough backpacking at this point that you feel like you've fine-tuned your system?
I felt like I finally had someone that I could walk with that, like, I could perform with. I had been on other trails with other people before, and it was really fun, and it was great, and it was like probably someone's first time and only time to do the PCT, and they were like so down to do 40s. But he definitely, I think the biggest thing I learned from him was just his like patience on things, you know. I'm always still like wanting to go, but it felt like I was finally able to walk with someone that I could really like function with. It was great.
For those who are not familiar, can you do a quick overview on the 12 long walks? That was like his big claim to fame, right?
Well, first
I think it
off,
was 14.
do you guys
14.
know who Swami is? Does anyone know who Swami is?
Yeah.
Make more noise because I can't see you. We talk about okay, if you don't know who Swami is.
Okay,
Let's
so
go with that. Let's
I
start
know,
with the
it's
beginning.
like
Shame was
Who's
loud.
Swami?
the older we get, the less on social media we are. But I think in 2012, I met him on the CDT. I was going northbound, he was going southbound. He was just wrapping up his 14 long walks. So he's an Aussie who now lives in Mexico and had done over 2 years, like 14,000 miles, and finished on the calendar year Triple Crown, which is no fucking joke. Straight through on a calendar year Triple Crown at the end of all this stuff.
When you say 14 long walks, like
Yeah,
these are
so
like AT, PCT long walks?
Yeah, so the Southwestern Horseshoe is like AZT, Haydu, Grand Enchantment Trail, PNT, Great Divide Trail, PCT, AT, CDT, all, you know, as many as these walks you could possibly do within a short period of time, he did.
This is like the start of a joke, like two legends
It sounds
of
like
Peru.
it. Well, it was fun, like, because we had been talking for a long time, and he was very influential and helpful for me on, like, the Vagabond Loop, because the Vagabond Loop, he had done the Southwest Horseshoe, and then I was trying to connect the loop. And I needed to, like, kind of know if the season doing the Grand Enchantment Trail was possible in July. And then Brett Tucker gave me a lot of feedback. We all came up, like, developed these friendships over years, to the point where, like, we all came pretty confident in each other, especially me and Swami, that we decided, like, he invited me out there, and it didn't stop there. The next year was like, we performed pretty well together. The next year was the Desert Trail year, and that was when I hiked the Desert Trail on my own, and then I went back to South America with a couple of my buddies to do the routes that Swami had laid place.
When you say, and these are my words, not yours, because I don't remember your words, I don't have a good memory.
That's okay, I don't remember my words.
When you say that you finally found someone who was hiking at your level, again, my words, not yours, but kind of, in what, like, is it in terms of pace? Is it in terms of speed? How you structure your day? They don't ask you stupid questions? Like, in what way does this click?
Well, for one, it's pace, right? Same sense of humor. We both like farts. But sense of humor is huge. But, like, it's also like, I don't know, you've been with your loved one and you have your arm around them and you're looking over across the landscape and you're like, do you see that over there? And you're like, yeah, I see that over there. That's it.
I guess, like,
That's it.
it is very, it's a little intimidating. I'm not intimidated by it, but it's, if I was hiking with you, I would be.
Oh,
because
no.
you're very fun, but it's a little intimidating.
We have different learning styles and different
Heights.
methods,
Yeah.
heights too.
Very different heights.
Well, he does one thing one way, I do one thing another way, and it was fun to learn things with him as we were going along with it. We had done the lowest to highest together as well, so we had that experience going into it.
I'm just saying, like, when you have this many miles under your belt,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna call it 75,000. When you have 75,000 miles under your belt, like, I feel like the more hikes a person does, the more miles a person does, the less social they become, the less they kind of fall into the bubble scene, all that.
They just don't care. Like, they're just doing what they want to do.
Yeah, I just want to know how do you find your person? How do you find your little buddy?
I mean, we haven't hiked. I mean, we have to do.
Like, what do you look for in a partner?
Gosh, I think a lot of it is just it's the flow, right? It's the flow, but you have to like go into someone thinking they have somewhat of the same experience. I don't hike with a lot of people. Chipotle's in the crowd. Where's he at? There he is. I met him in the TA last year, but I was just happy to be around other people. Like, it was just like a different type of experience. Like, I'm not like no offense, Chipotle. I'm not asking Chipotle to go do the Grand Canyon Traverse with me. You know,
Okay.
like I don't know like that yet. Like, it does take time and trust.
But that's what I want to know is because you're not like a douchey level, like I'm too good to hike with you. Like I think everyone here can get that that's not your
Well,
personality.
for me, like Swami was the best hiker in the world, and I was honored to go with him.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I felt like I was good enough to go with him.
When you're at this level of hiker, what do you look for in a hiking partner? I guess that's
I mean,
my thoughts.
I think it does go into like how they can handle stressful situations in areas that they're not familiar with.
Like if I'm slow as shit and I suck at hiking, but I do so well under pressure,
But if
does
you're
that
well with locals and like,
does that
Yeah,
raise me above
of course it
someone
does.
who is
yeah,
what are you 6'5"?
yeah, it does. It
You
does.
are.
Yeah. It does bring you up
really?
there.
You
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Okay.
It does
But
bring you up.
that would raise me up.
Absolutely, it would. Like that. Like I feel like when you're putting together like a partnership or team, it's not just like someone you meet on day 3 on the PCT and you're like, oh my god, we're gonna hike to Canada. Like, oh, that's great, but like it's probably a fad for a little bit. But like if you're like trying to travel overseas or whatever it is, like you need someone that you could really trust with your life in that aspect, you know?
Well, I've annoyed the hell out of people who have to wait for me at my pace. Like,
Yeah.
and this isn't in a poo-pooing them way. This is like I feel their pain.
Well, it's like
when
who
they
you want
tell
to
me.
work with.
Well, I've
right?
had people be like, you know, you hike so slow. And again, this isn't. I get where they're coming from. You hike so slow that it hurts my knees to hike at your pace because it's so slow. Like you think someone's kidding when they say that, but it's like, no, I actually get what you're saying.
Yeah.
You are stopping yourself.
He's being
from
nice. He
going
doesn't want to
your
hike with
speed.
you.
But I'm just like, is that less
Well,
important
I think it's-
than the vibe?
I think it's interesting, like, we've all been there before. You hike with someone for a month and you know them more than anybody you've ever known in your entire life. And it's amazing, right? And it's like, even if like your experience levels are so different, and I think as you keep doing more things, right? And it's just like at your job, you're around someone who's been at the same level of you as your job. You kind of understand the nuances of things. I didn't have to say anything to him. I don't have to say anything to Bobcat. I could like walk alongside of him and look at his like nod and then like we're good. Like we understand what we're seeing in front of us because we're trying to navigate, because we're trying to get through something. We're there purposely for the challenge of something and being there together to experience it versus like, it's not the same as like hiking a long distance trail here where it has this big outlet, this big thing built around it. Once you go out of this area, out of the States, like, and you're in like in the middle of nowhere, like you're figuring it out. And you need someone who knows how to handle themselves in like a foreign country, how to handle themselves around private land in a foreign country, like that type of stuff, while at the same time navigating over like massive passes or deserts, or whatever it is, you know, and that doesn't come like, you know, after a week getting to Warner Springs or whatever, right? It takes a long time. Like it takes time to get there. It's just like, you know, mountain climbers started climbing on Long's Peak, and then now they move up to Everest eventually. It's the same type of thing. Like we could all be situated in our own little fishbowl of just like doing the U.S. trails, but like there's so much cooler shit out there too. Not to say I still think the PCT is the best trail in the world, but there's so much cool shit out there, and I want to go see it personally. I'm not content just being here.
do you do a lot of these hikes by yourself because you have a low tolerance for putting up with people that can't hike at your space?
No, that's not how it works. No. Like, I was so grateful to hike with Swami. I was actually so honored that he invited me out there. And it kind of got whatever I had been like, I had like a splinter, like, preventing me from doing something. And I'm sure it tied to like my family accepting things like that. Once he invited me and I was like, oh, someone trusts me to go do this, I was like, yeah, like that part was incredible. The next year, I invited 2 buddies out there, Bobcat and Stefan, just because I wanted to like show them how much they meant to me. They were very skilled hikers, but I wanted to show them how much their friendship meant to me. And I was like willing to guide them out there. And I didn't have to like necessarily guide them. I just had, like, I was the one leading it, I guess you could say, but I was just so happy to show them. I knew that they liked what I liked, and to bring them out there and do like the Cordillera Blanca Traverse and the Hawaii Wash together with them was like one of the best times I've ever had with anybody. And it was only because, like, for one, I can give back to them and let them know how much like I cared for them, while at the same time showing them something brand new, like the same way that Swami showed me something, right? And then I don't know, like from that point on, I was willing to go wherever, you know. And I right after that, I did the Altiplano Traverse, which was a route that Swami had planned since he was like a young lad. And then next thing you know, I'm walking 500 miles across like the largest salt flats in the world. And it was like, there's no other place. That's the first time I ever had on any hiking experience where I had nothing on my brain, my heart, my soul, nothing. It was just what was in front of me. And it was the best experience I ever had. And it was solo, but I feel like I wouldn't have got there without people there before me. Yeah.
Again, you talk a lot about the theme of chapters. Did that inform the hiking decisions that you made from there on forward? Like,
yeah, it did. It got into the desert, a lot of the desert stuff. I want to see all the deserts in the world, and I'll do it either by bike or by foot, and I'll do that until I die. But I think what kind of got in the way was the pandemic, so I had to rethink things. But it did, and eventually I came with Great Basin Trail after that, because of I had it planned kind of the year of the pandemic. The pandemic really like shaped it to like, this is what I'm doing. Yeah.
Why deserts? Because like, personally, I'm a forest girly. I don't love it. I'm also ginger. I don't love a desert. But deserts have never appealed to me. So when I find someone who's like, I will do every desert until I die, like, what is it about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Southern California. I did have a lot of my youth crossing the Mojave. And it was whether to like go live with my grandma in Vegas. It was like constantly back and forth. It's like childhood shit. But whether it was like laying in the back of a truck or in a truck cab or whatever it was, I was always staring out across our desert. And I think just over time, like understanding that or at least not even understanding, but like thinking or feeling that there was something out there in that vast emptiness that made me have some kind of solace. That's where my like dreams went, you know.
Do you think we're drawn towards the environments that we grew up around? Because I feel like I grew up in East Coast forests, and I like hiking in East Coast forests. And the people that are desert people, they have time that they grew up around deserts, from what I've noticed.
I don't know. I mean, depends on where you feel most comfortable. I don't know. Like, I like mountains. I live in Colorado.
Yeah.
I don't want to stipulate too much on that without thinking about people that have like real shit. You know what I mean? Like people who live in like real rough areas and they're like a product of their environment type things. Yeah, I crossed the desert because my mom had her third husband or whatever. My grandma lived up there in Vegas, and I was just going out there. Like that was my environment. I don't know if it's like, is that what makes me drawn to it? I don't know. Like I want to be mindful of like other people that like what they like.
Yeah.
I'm drawn to that, and that's what I like. And it's also because like there's no one out there.
Yeah.
You know, there's just no one out there, and it makes me feel safe. It makes me feel very safe. You know.
I want to make sure that we get to more of these hikes. This next one on the list is one that we've talked about a little bit. We've had Shira on the podcast a couple of times, but tell us what is relevant for you for the Oregon Desert Trail.
Well, that was the precursor. So it was after I came back from South America. But it was a precursor for what I had in mind for the Desert Trail. So the Oregon Desert Trail has probably, I don't know, I'm going to take a stab and I may be wrong, but like 75 miles of the Oregon Desert Trail is the actual, Oregon Desert Trail is actually the Desert Trail. The Desert Trail is an old route, so I had interest and it was a new route, and that was kind of my main interest in that. It was like, how can I see how I could do this later for the Desert Trail? I did it in fall, went from east to west. It was cold. I loved it. It was just that basin that kind of drew me in. So along the lines of what we're talking about, like growing up and what I saw, like in my environment, whatever, like this appeased it, and it kind of like started festering it more and more to the point where I started really like trying to apply the next year to do the Desert Trail, which in turn inspired a lot of the inspiration for the Great Basin Trail. Yeah. ODT was really fun. Yeah.
And how long is that one?
Oh gosh, 750 maybe?
Are you pals with Shira? I assume the community's
Yeah,
small
no.
enough.
So me and her have the same birthday, same year.
Okay.
I don't know
If
anyone.
that's not pals, I don't know what is.
I don't know anyone in my entire life that's ever shared the same birthday the same year.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what year it is, but
I love Shira.
she's great.
stuff.
She's fantastic. And her whole thing on intentional hiking is by far to me like the coolest thing, because like why do anything if you don't have the intention for it? You know?
She definitely uses her power for good.
It's great.
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, pronounce this next one for me because I don't want to fuck up another trail.
That's the Cordillera Real Traverse.
Okay, we talked about this one.
I talked about that one. Huaywash, yeah. And then Altiplano, like I think that one.
We're just going like yada yada yada. Here's another 500 miles.
Yeah, that one is like, I think I said it. So I had led my friends out there, out in South America. We stayed in Huaraz and we did like the Cordillera Blanca Traverse, a swarming inspired route. There's nothing that is compared to that route as far as beauty. Nothing you could possibly think of. There's, what was it? 20,000 foot peaks in this area, and we're doing a high run across it. It took us 17 days to do 250 miles. It was like so rugged and brutal. Like man, it was just absolutely spectacular.
7 days to do 200.
17 days
Oh, okay.
to do 250.
I was gonna have to stop there.
It
That makes more
was
sense.
so rugged and so like slow, but it was absolutely gorgeous and sketchy, and like, you know, walking along glaciers and like just these massive peaks just all around you, and it was absolutely fantastic. And it got me primed up to once Stefan and my buddy Bobcat left Peru. I went immediately to La Paz and got ready for the Altiplano Traverse, and then that was basically, I think up until that point, that was the most unknown thing I had done in my life. It was the purest, most like untrammeled thing I'd ever done. And it was 500 miles, I think I did it in probably about 17 days. So it was like, I did it in half the time that I would have did the Cordillera Blanca, because it's just like so flat. And so if you don't know, like the Salar de Coipasa and the Salar de Uyuni are the largest salt flat places in the world. And they're up at 15,000 feet. So from space you can see them, they're massive. And just giant mirrors just reflecting back, and I walked across it, which there's not much water.
Yeah, how long does it take? Because you see it in the photo. I've seen it in a million pictures.
It's just a giant white expanse.
How far is it?
25 miles to Inkawasi, which is the island out there in the middle of nowhere. And I got there, and everyone kind of drives to there. And then I went up to the innkeeper, whatever it was, and I said, hey, I walk here, can I sleep here for tonight? And he said, yeah, and he gave me a room. And the room was like facing the western expanse of the Salar, and the wind was fucking roaring, and it had these big bay windows, and it was just like pounding the windows, but the stars were reflecting off the desert floor, the salt flats, and it looked like I was in outer space. It was like the coolest thing. I was just like, holy fuck, I'm fucking out here. It was like so rad. It was so amazing.
I know you're a different beast. Obviously, you're a different beast, but we live in a very windy state. And when I hear the wind ripping against my house, I'm like, damn, it's a good day to be inside. You're like, I want to go fucking hike that.
Oh man, I was happy to be inside because there's nothing blocking it. And it was like, I have to wear everything on my face. I think the only thing that was showing was maybe here. I mean, it was cold. It was still like 40 degrees and the wind's blowing 50 miles an hour in a nothing.
Is it while you're hiking?
Yeah.
Do people camp in the middle? Like, if, let's say I can't go 25 miles.
Pretty rare. Usually maybe bikepackers might, because they might take that route.
So
but
you
it's just
do
like,
it planning to go through.
it's massive. It's just the size of Denver. Just imagine it just being flat and white.
Is there elevation gain, or is this one of those
No,
fun stretches
it's
where
flat.
you're like, let's ride?
It's absolutely flat.
That's
And you're
kinda
walking
nice.
on these like salt tiles of sometimes you get like salt, bluish green salt water. Once you get past it, you cross the Solar, then you're like crossing these volcanoes that are 20,000 feet, and it's called like Volcano Alley, and the lakes are red and green and like bright blue, and you're just like, what the fuck am I in here? I'm in Mars,
This is all in the salt flat? All these
Just
things?
past it. It's all part of the traverse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you get bored of the views?
No.
Like, going 25 miles flat, salt flat.
No,
You're
no,
not
I'm
gonna
good.
keep
No,
going?
I think the more empty and vast it is, the better off I'm like kind of calm. I think I'm like probably more like a skitterish. I'm not skitterish. I'm more like hyperactive. So, but I think what calms me down is like not four walls, but like wide open views, and to like have something like that, like I'm just like totally enamored with. Yeah.
Is there an environment in backpacking that you don't enjoy? Because I love backpacking, but let's say it's low 40s on the Appalachians, ripping wind and downpouring rain, and I'm like, get me inside.
Yeah.
Does that exist for you?
I mean, I think it depends on the intention I have. If I'm half-hearted and trying to do something, then I'm probably going to be bothered by anything, no matter what it is. But if I'm going into something with full intention and full decision on it, then I'm going to be embraced for it. I don't like 35 degrees and rainy, but that's like the worst weather you could have on any fucking trail.
Yeah.
But there's no way I'm doing a trail where I'm not going into it not knowing what to expect. And I will embrace whatever a trail has to give. Yeah.
Do you have any mantras or psychological tools that you use to get yourself through challenging stretches?
Oh my god, that's funny. The first thing that popped in my mind is just like this underground hip hop dude. Does anyone know Billy Woods? Anyone? Probably not. Who said yeah? Okay, Billy Woods. He has a song that says, just say he's the best, let's not argue. I don't know. And that's, for some reason, I'll just chant that in my head, and it does not matter what's in front of me. Yeah.
Just say he's the best. I don't
Let's not argue.
Let's not argue.
Yeah. It's only to myself. That's it. Yeah.
You never
Is
said
that
it
you
out loud?
hyping yourself up like I'm the goat of walking?
Yeah. No, it's not that. It's like I'm here because I chose to be here. Like, let's breathe it down. Like I'm the best I'm supposed to be to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the song that popped up right when you guys said that. Yeah.
The other thing I'm curious about, you're talking about all these treks where it seems like there's not that much intel or recon available. Are you just showing up with Gaia maps and hoping for the best? Like, what does your research process look like?
I mean, there's a lot of internet stuff nowadays, right? So I do find some of these things, like Swami did a bunch. There was also some stuff I found through like bikepacking routes. Then do like satellite imagery, but like at a certain point, when you're just like, I'm gonna fucking go over that mountain, I'm gonna go over that mountain. Like, and it was true on the Altiplano where I had a route more or less lined up, but when you're out there and like something goes and you have water and food, like go for it. And it's cooler, like go for it. So there's a lot of that too. Like you have like a foundation of planning going into it, but it's not. I don't want anything to restrict me. I want to keep it as open as possible.
We talked about this on a recent podcast. I'm blanking on his name, but the fellow who tragically passed in the Whites over the winter and we did a Q&A episode on the subject of like crush it syndrome. And in having that discussion, honestly, you were one of the first people that came to my mind because you're such a badass. You've done everything. There's nothing that scares you. I'm curious, has there ever been a scenario where you have turned back because conditions were too bad?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's times I've just never left town. Like, I mean, there's a fine line between like endurance and sufferfesting, you know, and I think the biggest draw for me doing these things besides empty places is just how far I can push myself. But I also understand that I can't push myself if I'm fucking dead or whatever. But I'm really wrecking my brain out because I've had so many.
How do you know when you're getting near that threshold?
Oh, well, I mean, your whole body is breaking down. Like, you know, or you just don't, it's not worth the effort. You gotta think big term, longer term. Like maybe if I'm doing the Great Basin Trail in fall time and ridgeline and it's 0 degrees, like why try to muscle that when I can just lay in town for 2 days and like still finish in the same time? I think that kind of pops up into it where you have to think long term. I think anyone can get through anything if they put their mind to it in preparation for it, but at the same time, like, there's got to be some like reasonableness for it. I'm not willing to like die as much as like complete what I'm trying to complete. So there is like a mission aspect to it. Crush it syndrome does not mean to me accomplishing what I want to accomplish. If I want to accomplish what I need to accomplish, I need to check everything at the fucking door. Yeah.
When you just said something there, which I think is bigger than just a little statement, which was I would rather stay in town than go do like this pass in whatever condition it might be. I think this is hypothesis because I'm not where you are by any stretch, but I think there's like you could make a graph where it's like one of those curves where it goes up and then it curves and then you guys know what a graph is. But I think people, when they start long distance hiking, they have like I have to prove myself, I have to be the best, I have to like prove that I'm better than other people mentality sometimes. And once you've done the number of miles you have, it's like I don't have to prove anything to anyone. If I would rather stay in town than go do that thing, it's not proving anything to go do it. Do you agree, and how do you think people navigate over that curve and stop thinking about I have to validate myself as a great hiker, I just have to enjoy this?
Another good question. It's
long-winded.
I think I feel you what you're saying. A lot of it is just doing the miles, right, and getting confidence and experience and like trying to push yourself. As much as I think I know hikers, for instance, that have done the same trails over and over again. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's a choice that they want, and they live with that choice, and it's what they want, and that's fantastic. I think if you're trying to do things that are kind of out of the box a little bit, you have to kind of like start pushing yourself away from that, and you start removing yourself from everything, because all you're focusing on is what you're doing, you know, and I think it does branch off a little bit. I mean, after a while, when you're traversing places and you don't see anyone for a while, like it's just you have to. I mean, the desert trail, I had instances where like I lost my fucking shelter. Like I don't lose shit, but I lost that shelter and had to sleep in a playa in a thunderstorm, and it was like, what am I doing? How does this, like, I'm not cool. You know what I mean? Like, this fucking is the scariest thing I've ever done in my entire life. My ankle's busted. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. Like, I need to get to town. I'm gonna take the 2 zeros to wait for the shelter to come, because suddenly I realized how important this shit was, even though I lost it, like, because a thunderstorm came in.
How do you lose that?
A thunderstorm came in. Like, if you're like on these like basin ranges where it's just straight up mountains, straight down mountains, and there's like flat playas, and those fucking storms come in, they're hitting you like a linebacker.
Was your pack unpacked?
No, well, I was taking my lunch break, and I had my shelter off to my left, and as I packed up quick, I kicked it and it rolled down to a juniper.
Oh, so
And it
you
rolled
knew it
down
was
there.
gone.
I didn't know, but when I thought about it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember fucking kicking it down to juniper. But I was in such a hurry because the lightning was smashing down. Like I had to worry about my safety. But of course I didn't think about that safety until it was 25 miles later. My ankle popped, and next thing you know, there's another lightning storm, and the fucking burros are laughing at me in the playa because I'm sleeping on a playa with no shelter, and there's lightning around the playa's flooding all of a sudden.
What's a playa?
Salt flat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're just like out there in a field.
Out there in the field.
And lightning's just hitting around you. And you're
Yeah,
just like,
lightning hitting around me.
Don't hit here.
Water, lightning striking, splashing water onto me. Yeah.
It sounds dangerous.
Yeah, it was. I wish I wouldn't have been there if I had my shelter, but I had to do what I had to do to like survive at that point. And then from that point on, I slept under rocks. I remember like what was so cool about that hike, leaving what's the Black Rock town? Gerlach. First night I found a rock to sleep under, and it was like lightning all around me. Then I crossed the playa, and the storms were chasing me, and I found a guzzler to sleep underneath. Then the next day I found, because I was in the middle of nowhere, like post office ain't gonna come up.
What's a guzzler?
Guzzler is a wildlife guzzler. So this one was made of like this tin, like corrugated tin that leaned down to like a trough.
Oh, like a cat
So
trough.
I was underneath it,
Okay.
sleeping underneath that, and then I went to like this old abandoned homestead, slept underneath the wall there, and then I had one more night where I slept on a playa that was no storms. And then I finally got my shelter. So it was like, how far are you willing to go? Like, you know, I knew I was like, okay, I was scared, but I didn't think I was like gonna, well, fuck, you take a chance, I don't know.
How do you know you're okay when you're playing lightning round?
Sometimes the goal to me is like, if I'm committed to something, I'm putting everything on the fucking line. Like I'm either not gonna do it to begin with, or I'm putting everything on the fucking line. Like I'm not gonna stop.
Is that crush it syndrome?
No, I don't think it is. I think part of it is I think as you get older with experience, it's about how do you strategize to complete something. So like that was the way I had to do that trip, to get to the next post drop, to find my new shelter. As I've gotten older, it's like, okay, maybe I have to wait 2 days in town and then time it. You know, like you start looking at like the impulse to go is not as much as like the impulse to succeed is different.
I guess like if every lightning bolt didn't go the way, like let's say a lightning bolt went bad, right? Would we then be talking about it as if it were crush it syndrome?
Well, I mean, it teaches you humility, you hope, you know.
I also think I speak for most backpackers when I say like that could happen to any of us. Like we've all been above
Absolutely.
the tree line in
Yeah.
a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
It all takes us.
I think it's like,
bad
you
luck.
know, like going from a trail that has a security net to like a trail that doesn't have signs or anything, and you have to navigate, and like it's suddenly, you know, like upon you. A lot of it is about what you can endure too.
Yeah.
It's not about crushing, it's about what you can endure. And like, I think for me, part of my wandering curiosity is about how I can fit my endurance in that. Like, how can I do all these things I want to do in a way that I want to do them? And yeah, I'd like to push it, you know. That means different to me now as I've gotten older, which is why the bike is included. But I still get to be able to do like 100-mile days on the bike. You know, bike is 3 times faster than a hike. But I still get to get my fucking hundreds.
Still get to get that anyway.
It's just like getting a 30, right?
Yeah.
Like, that makes me
Still
smile.
feels good.
Yeah, it feels good, you know.
We're moving at a pace right now that I think there's going to be a part 3. So
Oh my
if you
God.
guys are ready for this
Are we
next
that
one.
long again?
No, yeah, we're getting a little long too. But this is awesome. I think this is the conversation that people want to hear. I obviously want to talk about the Great Basin Trail because this is your
Yeah.
creation. I know you're very proud of this.
Yeah.
But we obviously can't yada 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 over the whatever route. So
Yeah.
let us know what that is.
Well, okay, so I can like kind of sum this up because there's been other hikers over the past few years that have done other routes. Well, who's here is dreamt of another Mexico to Canada route? There's gotta be
Crowd
people.
work. Come on, guys. Noise.
I know there has been. Who's done another Mexico to Canada route? Anybody? What? Oh, maybe? No? No.
There's a half-handed.
When you say another, based on
Rolf.
like what?
Out of your own creation, right? So you have the PCT, the CDT, and then you have like obviously the Triple Crown with the AT, but like a lot of like hikers have thought about like that fourth one that goes from Mexico to Canada. Like the Desert Trail has been one. I've done that one from Mexico to Canada, but there's always been the one that they talk about in between. And so like Pepperflake has done one. Larry Boy has done another one. There's been a few other people. It's nothing that's like inventive. Like I'm coming out of my ass right now and presenting something to you. It's been there. I just put together my own little like route from it, which is not that dissimilar from what I did on my bike. Except what I did on the foot was that I did more things that were more conducive for foot travel versus the bike travel. And so I went from the old CDT start in Columbus through the Gila, through the Mogollon, up to there, through the AZT, crossed to Hayduke, and then went straight up the gut of Utah. I had to flip that year because my grandma passed away, so I had to like figure out when that was going to happen. Then I flipped up to Kalispell, walked all the way up to the Great Divide in the north, and then came back and then walked from Kalispell back down to central Utah. So it was like 3,500 miles from Mexico border in New Mexico all the way up to central Canadian Rockies. I called it whatever because it was just, I wanted to like freeform it, like, and I think I don't always want to follow signs, and as much as like, I love the PCT more than anything, and it's fucking great to follow a fucking sign and like put your head down and coma walk. But god damn it, when you're like out there, when you're out there and just like I see that ridge, I want to go there, and that freedom over time with the confidence you might have, like to go do that is so exhilarating, and to see what you're gonna see that you never thought you were gonna see, that no one that you know that is seeing, is so cool. And so that was kind of like what that route was. So I was piecing together a lot of stuff, and so I finished that. And
Are you able to enjoy trail hiking at this point?
no, I do a lot.
Are you enjoying being here?
No, I do. I mean, like I think there's ways to enjoy things. Like I don't want to be around like a crowd of 50 on trail, but like you choose the shoulder seasons. I'm happy to be here. I got beer, like it's fun. But like I feel like there's like, you know, now there's shoulder seasons to hike. And I feel like because I'm used to shoulder seasons and like my comfort level is enough to like, I can walk in really shitty environments, that I think it's something I like to have. It's like I get my peace and quiet, this and that, whatever. I get to fart and nobody laughs, you know, which is the travesty of it all.
Yeah, you're wasting good farts.
Yeah,
nobody.
I do fart pretty funny.
But does the crowd know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like talking to you. Like, but anyways, it was a great like a kazoo. Yeah, it was a great route, and I liked it a lot because what it meant that I continued a route into northern Canada, central northern Canada. And then later on that year, I did the Utah Passage, which is nothing dissimilar that you've heard before from other people like P-Mags or Jamal. But I did another route from like Grand Junction to St. George. And so part of this whole thing as I've gotten older has been about like worldly connections. And so those two particular routes in 19 expand North America in different directions that I could either tie by foot or tie by bike. And so they're in place, right? So that was important to me because I was wanting to do something bigger in North America, South America, right before the pandemic hit. And the pandemic hit, and then that's where the Great Basin Trail came up. I had started planning that, tentatively planning, like I had some friends like John Z and Handy Andy and Pepperflake, and we started talking about this like Great Basin thing, and I had done a Great Basin Traverse in 15, so I started planning, like putting stuff together, and I built this route that was going to extend around Vegas and Death Valley and stuff, and pandemic hit, and I was like, well, maybe not a good idea to go to Vegas, and maybe I should push off South America, and maybe I should just like concentrate on like locally. So that's when I went and did the Great Basin Trail, or developed that. I wouldn't say it wasn't called the Great Basin Trail then. I just went out to a loop that I quarantined in Nevada for the first 3 weeks. I had 3 buckets placed out there, and I just walked from bucket to bucket, didn't see a soul for 3 weeks, and that's how I quarantined until I got to Tonopah, and suddenly the town was open. So, yeah.
So obviously, with these other treks, you're following the recon of other people that have come before you. How is it different to develop your own route, especially something that you want to be used for public consumption for other people to follow your tracks?
Oh my gosh. A lot of it came from just like staring at fucking maps my whole life. Like a weirdo. Like I would just like stare at maps and atlases my whole life. And as a little boy just like geeking out. Which is why I went to like the Outback and why I want to go to southern Spain and why I want to like go to Patagonia eventually. It was just like looking at maps. But like the Great Basin was part of it because I like lived near there and like driving through there and doing the desert trail and the Great Basin Traverse and like Oregon Desert Trail. It was just like, there's something there that's not there that people know about. There's so much vast empty space, which is exactly what I'm drawn to. You can go up and down like the West Coast trails or West Coast states, excuse me, you know, PCT going through California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho Centennial Trail, Arizona Trail, like you name it, right? But there's really nothing in Nevada. And I know like Zoner had like his Hot Springs Trail, but like cut across, similar to like what I patterned the Great Basin Trail afterwards, but like there's so much more in Nevada. It's the most mountainous state in the lower 48. It's like 350 mountain ranges, and I just kind of saw that there was something there. So at least something I wanted to do, not that I like, you know, beautiful mind type shit. I just saw something I wanted to go do. And once it happened, it was just satellite imagery, like looking at stuff. Is this ridgeline walkable? Like spent hours just like researching that, and then kind of put it together. And like at a certain point, I'm just like, let's do it. Like let's fucking do it. And I knew once the pandemic hit, like Handy Andy and John Z and Pepperflake, like they all kind of backed out. Pepperflake had his own thing, and we kind of joined at a certain point midway through. Not even midway, like my first 4 weeks through, whatever. But it was just like this cool idea that we had, where there's just no one. Nevada's fucking empty. There's nothing there except badass mountains and plateaus and basins, and there's no routes through there. It's all public land. Like 75% of Nevada is public land. Like, why do we have to go follow what everyone else does? Like, let's just go out in the land and like make our own footprints. So hopefully they'll disappear though. Leave no trace, but but anyways, it was like, to me, it was a perfect playground to try to develop something.
That's a crazy fun fact that Nevada is the most mountainous state in the U.S. Like, that's not something that the average person is going to get right in a trivia question.
Yeah, other than Alaska, but the lower 48.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many people do you know or estimate have hiked this trail since you?
Well, so I did it the first year in 2020. And then I hiked from Loveland to Lake City and then did a 100-mile race. and then the next year, goes back to like wanting to like doing something twice. And I felt like if I was gonna invite anybody else to do this route, that I would have to do it twice. Like I would have to make sure that it's good enough to do again. Did I enjoy it the second time as much as the first time? I enjoyed it more. I also had invited some friends out, so then I was able to like watch how they would navigate through the landscape. So there's no trail, you're kind of like navigating however you see fit, but if someone saw something that was like cool off to the right and they wanted to go that way, then I would then include it into the route. So based off like my own personal needs being solo, maybe I need water, I will forsake something that's super scenic because I actually have a need to get water. So hiking with people the second time was able to give me like the aesthetic purpose of it and seeing which route drew people to go a certain way. And then I was able to hang out in the back and kind of like draw the route from them based off what I had had before and edit it and all that stuff. And then like ground proof it again. Because I didn't want it to be something that was so challenging to me, because if I'm doing it by myself, I'll probably make it the hardest way possible, that I thought if I could like bring people out there the second time, that then I could make it more walkable for everybody. Now granted, I want people to walk it that have experience, but I felt like out of all the years I've been doing this thing and all the years it took me to do this thing, that I wanted a way to give back to the community. I wanted to kind of have something there. And so if you have an interest, just email me and you'll get the route and I'll help you out. It's fucking fantastic. But I feel like I wanted something to contribute, and that was one way that I could. Like, I'm probably not the most like social dude, but like I could make a route and like maybe provide it for people that really want to push themselves after they go through all these levels, right? You do like Triple Crown, AZT, GET, Hey Duke, and like I know Centennial Trail, and you're like, oh my God, what do I do next? You know, and it's like, well, there's other things, and I wanted to kind of provide that as like a contribution to the community.
So we're definitely gonna have to do a part 3 of this. You guys have no idea how many trails still exist between where we are and present day. So in the interest of time, we're just gonna put a cliffhanger there. But I do have some hot button questions for you that I want to get to, and also we have an audience mic right there that we're gonna pass around. If you guys have any questions for Dirtmonger, and I understand if you do, he is incredible. Please, we'll get to that segment in a second. The question I want to ask is, what is your most controversial take about backpacking or the thru hiking culture at large?
Okay.
What a way to warm you up for the.
Yeah, like right after a
backpack.
break.
You gotta refill your
You should have
Welcome back
before
in
this. I kind of don't really care. Oh gosh, I'm gonna say it. I don't really care for the HYOH thing. Like, I think it's MYOB, to be honest.
Mind your own business.
Mind your own business.
How does that differ?
Well, because no one minds their own business in HYOH. It's more like a high school like thing that the people get along with. But I think like ultimately when you're out on trail, and I'm only saying this because like I had issues with this when I first started, or just even being younger, was always trying to be liked in a way, and never doing things that I ultimately wanted to do on my own, only for the sake of like social influence. And I think sometimes that it like deterred from my overall perspective on things. And I think if you just control what you can control, then I think your experience will be much better than what it should be. So that's why I think it should be MYOB.
We had, when I did the AT, my trampoline, we had a phrase called FYH, because
Fuck your hike?
Fuck your hike.
Yeah.
Because, well, our thought process is when someone tells you to hike your own hike, they're
Yeah.
never saying it genuinely.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always like in that southern bless your heart kind of way, where like they're actually
Yeah.
judging you for whatever
Yeah.
the hell you're doing. It's like, well, hike your own hike. Like,
Exactly.
but you're wrong. So we just started saying fuck your hike. So it's like,
Yeah.
you might as well not sugarcoat it. Like, fuck your hike, you know? And yeah, no, that's exactly
That's exactly what I'm thinking, yeah.
it's hard to come across genuine when you say hike your own hike, because it's like either you are actually
Yeah.
into that phrase.
Unless they have a tattoo on their toes or something. But,
Do you know someone like that?
yeah, there's gotta be a couple of them. Is there anyone here?
There'll be someone here tonight.
Tell me someone. I'll buy you a hat if you can show me a hike your own hike
Admit it. But I only say that because like, it's only because I want to do what I want to do. And it's only because it took so long for me to do what I want to do. That's it. That's the reason why I say it. You know.
And my other question is, when we wrapped our last interview, after we were done recording, you thanked us for not asking you any gear questions. Here comes a gear question. Two-parter, what is your base weight?
Well, it depends on the trail.
Yeah, let's go with just like your median base weight for whatever.
Oh gosh, if I was doing like a Triple Crown trail, it'd probably be 8 pounds. If I was doing like the Grand Enchantment Trail, it'd probably be like 10. Yeah.
We
If
got
I,
some.
if I was doing like the Desert Trail or the Great Basin Trail, it'd probably be closer to 12.
We've got some activity from the crowd on the
Oh.
8-pound. I heard murmurs. Can you break down what goes into this 8? Because they, from what I could hear, sounded a little shocked.
Is it that shocking? All these ultralighters? How many ultralighters are out here? Yeah. Is 8 pounds like shocking? 6 pounds is shocking, right? Yeah. 8's pretty middle.
They were laughing at how heavy your pack is.
I'm wrong, it turns out.
It's also like I'm tall, my gear's heavy. Oh
You
my
not clip your
god.
toothbrush?
Well, no, I don't. No, I use a bamboo toothbrush.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I
I
use
don't
bleach and I swallow my toothpaste.
You swallow bleach?
No, yeah. Yeah, that's what I use to drink my water.
Do you get tummy aches?
No. All comes out my butt.
So part of the lubricant.
No, but I graduated. Like God, I'm fucking 40. How old am I? 46. I'm 46 years old. When I was like 32, I was using an eighth pad. Is Jersey here? He knows.
Yeah, I saw him here.
Is
Yeah.
Hi, Jerry. Is that? I'm not wearing my glasses. Wave again if this is you. It
There
is
he
you.
is.
Hi.
Well, he knows like the old pad I used to use. I mean, God, it was like so ridiculous. But I don't do that anymore. Like it's just negligible that I could add an extra pound and a half. Like I'm still a large person.
Okay, so this is something I find interesting. Is when you start through hiking, you cut as much as you can to get the lightest weight
It
possible.
didn't take me that way first, but
That's it.
Yeah.
I assume everyone's like me. That's how I was.
yeah.
But after you've done a bit, you start to add things back because now it's like I know how low I can go, and if I add something, it's intentional.
It's more intentional.
What
yes.
do you add back? What's intentional?
The sleeping bag for sure. I need that. Like I won't be able to sleep without
Say
it.
sleeping pad?
Yeah.
You didn't have a sleeping pad before?
I had that ancient, you know.
yeah. Okay.
You know.
Are you
little
saying
tiny-
H in?
I don't know how to say
I
it.
don't know what you're saying. I'm just
inch?
smiling.
Did someone say that?
Eight.
8 inch?
Like a zero?
Did someone say that out there? 8
Eight.
inch? I've had a couple of steering.
Is this the yellow Z light? Is this the accordion?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, yeah. But I used to add like the little fucking.
I thought H was a brand.
Oh, it's not
Okay.
bad. Yeah. But I did buy a pillow last year in Australia.
Okay, thank you. I was gonna say, I love that your luxury item is a
But you know
sleeping
why I
pad.
bought it? You know why I bought it? I bought it because I had a bike. And I was able to sleep with a pillow. Yeah.
Do you sit on the pillow when you ride your bike?
I mean, you look at
That's
it,
just a
seriously,
booster
that's a
seat.
great, I mean, I think you would need to have some kind of air, like a whoopee cushion. Maybe you could sit on a whoopee cushion.
Would you like? Why would you not want the most padding possible?
Well, you have chamois, you know. Yeah.
Okay. What just to get back on topic, what sleeping pad did you? What is the luxury item sleeping pad?
Oh, it's the Neolite, yeah. But I actually went from like the small one to like the regular size.
The inflatable.
Yeah.
The one that's made for like a guy who's 5'10". So it's the small for you.
Yeah. So I did do that. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that is a good thing.
Yeah.
We're
And
all
actually,
trying.
what I've been doing recently, the past year, is I've been swearing by a silk liner.
Really?
Yep, I've gone back to it because it helps keep my bag clean from the oils and all that bullshit. And then it adds an extra 10 degrees, so I don't have to bring a down jacket, which is garbage. And go ahead.
Let's talk about that quick. That's a hot take. Down
Is it?
jackets are
It hasn't been a
garbage.
hot take for like, it shouldn't be a hot take.
I look like the Michelin Man when I'm on the trail. I am full of marshmallow covered.
But why would you want to wear it while you're walking? Because you're just going to deplete all the down. So why not just get a warmer sleeping bag or a silk liner that weighs 3 ounces that gives you 10 extra degrees of warmth?
Is this a blanket overall statement? Down jackets are trash.
I do not wear down jackets on trail anymore. But I used to.
Are they trash?
Yeah.
So are you a fan of synthetic puffies then?
I know.
Okay, just no
I don't
puffies.
know puffies. I'm sorry for all the Melly fans in here.
What do you-
We're not one hoodie, so.
Well, Melly's not a puppy.
I know, but I replaced that with an R1 hoodie and then used my silk liner.
What if you're what if you're doing a really cold hike?
I still won't bring my hoodie. I'll bring a warm ass sleeping bag. Like I'm not sitting around in camp. If I'm sitting around in camp, maybe I'll have a down, but like I just get a warm ass bag.
Is there no temperature cold enough where you would wear something warmer while
Yeah, in
hiking?
fact, in South American Cordillera Real Traverse, I had my giant puffy with a 10-degree bag and my single wall shelter. Like it was that fucking cold in the mornings. But anything in the States, unless you're doing a winter hike,
To put this in perspective for you, I don't take off my sleeping clothes until, I will hike 2 to 5 miles in the morning in sleep attire because I don't want to be cold. And then when I finally start working up that sweat, I'll start taking off the layers. But I'm not getting out of the sleeping bag into the cold in an outfit that is cold.
yeah.
But you do.
Well, I'll wear my tights if I wake up. If it's cold, I wear my tights for sure.
I'm so soft compared to you.
I wear my tights, I do think rain gear is warmer. If you got a good rain jacket, it's warmer than a down jacket by far. You know,
What's your go-to rain jacket?
Montbell Torrent Shell. Yeah. Yeah. But I do want to say, like, I think there's something to think about, like this silk liner. Like, you go with a liner bag, you add, for 3 ounces, you add 10 degrees of warmth, and it keeps your bag clean, and when it's muggy out or whatever, it keeps everything dry.
It's funny, I've now recently heard a lot of experienced backpackers give me that exact same take. But I remember I had a silk liner on the AT, and everyone told me that was the most newbie thing of all time, so I ditched it out of like the insecurity of having it.
You were going up the graph.
Yeah, and now apparently I was just ahead of the curve.
Like, I haven't had a down jacket on trail in probably 8 years. Yeah.
Obviously, we have 1,000 more questions, but we're gonna put a pin in it there. I want to hear your guys' questions before we get to audience questions. When we're in the studio, we have a segment called the Kumo question, but this is a Gossamer Gear Kumo. Thank you to our sponsors. Drop a word on the PCT.
Yeah.
Filled with lottery balls, inserted with like a typed out question in each of those. We don't have that with us today. What we do have is the CEO of Gossamer Gear. So we're gonna ask him to come on down to the stage and grab the audience mic, and on the spot, he's gonna have to come up with his own question for Dirtmonger.
A lot of people that we talk to, Dirtmonger, Jersey, they're all very humble. These are really awesome people that do really cool things and are really big in the hiking community for all
super
things.
awesome.
Sorry, he's not humble. I take it all back. This guy sucks. He's the worst help. No, I'm kidding. He's awesome.
This is the Kumo question. Use code Snugglebug for 20% off your Gossamer Gear shelter at
That
checkout.
used to be my trail name.
Did it really?
The silk liner coming back around. Do you think visors could ever come back around? Because I've known you for about 10 years now, and I'm still waiting. You know, like it's.
I
I
gotta
got rid of all the visors in my gear closet.
I gotta rock the dad look, and I have gotten so many rides by wearing it. If I didn't wear a visor and I try to hitchhike with this face, I'm not getting into town.
I didn't once actually question the fact that you were wearing it. I did, like, that didn't look weird
It's
to
just
me.
a part of me.
It looked like it fit.
Yeah. it's a
I'm
part of
now
me.
only now realizing you were wearing a
Yeah.
visor.
Yeah. I used to play tennis back in the day.
It showed, yeah.
Not
Pickleball?
really. Huh?
Do you play pickleball?
No, I'm not 65.
That's bike packing. You pull off the visor well.
All right, before we get to our segments here, do you guys have any questions? This is for you. We would love for you guys to.
I told Garrett he could be the mic wrangler so he could bring it around.
I'll bite.
Garrett's really here to please
In
tonight.
the front row.
What else people sit in the front row, right?
Hi, Dirtmonger.
Hi.
Is
Oh,
there anything you want to hike in Asia?
Yes.
That's my question.
Mongolia.
Tell me more, and I'm gonna sit down.
Oh man, I really want to either trek or bike across Mongolia for sure. That's actually been a huge dream of mine for a bit. Yeah. I mean, obviously the Himalayas, but Mongolia is the first thing that comes to my mind. Yeah. Deserts, high deserts. Yeah. Thanks.
anyone else have a question for Dirtmonger who wants to take the mic from Garrett? I give him a task here. He has to hold it in between.
We got Rolf here.
I like to make him involved.
Bidet.
I'll try. I could try, I guess. I mean, just need to have a rock with water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What am I missing here?
You said bidet.
He was asking.
No, I know, but is this a joke that I don't get?
No,
I need to use one.
Oh.
you like it.
I thought you were
I think
saying
I
your
would.
trail name at first, and then I was waiting for the.
No.
I mean, if you're into the butt stuff, you'll probably be.
I'm not saying I am. Like, just because I'm talking about clown mouth does not mean I'm in the
Not saying I'm not, boy. Any other questions?
Do you like a bidet or you know, the alternative?
How do you wipe your ass?
Yeah.
I mean, if I have a preference, it's snow, but I've never used a bidet before.
What's the weirdest thing you've wiped your ass with?
Corn cob?
Why?
Was there?
Where were you?
Sierra? I think I was in the Sierra.
In the Sierra, you found a corn cob, and it was all that was there.
I mean, it'd been like recycle through the snow and stuff, but.
Through other people's assholes.
I feel like that's not native ground for corn.
Well, but it's something that won't hurt as bad as a pine cone.
You're in the middle of the Sierra, and
Yeah.
you find a, like, does it have the corn, or is someone eating this?
Is it better than my
packed
hand? No.
out? No, that's
No,
not.
it's all right. Everyone's eating the
I'm
kernel.
not judging you by any means. I'm just
Kernels
wondering,
are all
like,
gone.
I'm more curious how the corn got there.
Well,
Same.
yeah. Don't people like barbecue in the backwoods, like on those little grills?
I've never heard of someone packing out corn, but I could see it. It's got like
Yeah, it's
friction.
smooth.
If the kernels are gone, and you just got those like
kernels,
holes,
empty kernels carry all the.
that'll catch.
Yeah.
Do you hike with toilet paper or wipes?
I do both on a bike trip, especially wipes. Gotta keep it clean.
Yeah.
How many
Despite what
wipes
people
until
are-
you're clean?
Yeah.
How many wipes until you're clean? How many wipes until you have a clean wipe?
I think if you get one wipe and you go really rugged for a bit.
You just back and forth. You guys don't have a middle hole. That's where you win. 'Cause
Yeah.
you can go back to front. We can't.
Yeah, if you rub too long.
You just
Yeah, it feels too good.
okay. Should we give something away between segments?
Yes. If you guys have more questions, we'll get to them in a second here. But before we do, you guys obviously grabbed a raffle tickets before we hit the record button. So we're gonna pull one here
No,
for.
don't go away. Stand next to Garrett.
I gotta get my ticket though.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Right now we are raffling off the LT5s, the
Okay, yes, and since our super mean CEO is here, who's bullies me every day, I want to say a little thing about these trekking poles, guys. When I did the PCT 17, my first backpacking trip, my first like overnight sleep hike trip, you know when you first buy your gear kit and you're like, this is my dream list. Like this is my dream list of everything I would get if money didn't exist, and then you kind of have to come to reality and be like, I didn't budget for that, and then you cut things. These were on my dream list. These are the LT5 cork lights. They've got cork handles. Don't sweat on them and then put them where deer are. They will lick them. But this was the thing that I cut. That I was like, oh, I could get away with. I could get away with different trekking poles. I've got a point to this. We're gonna come full circle. These are the things I cut because they were the things where I was like, I can make other hiking poles do. I finally this year for the Foothills Trail got a pair of these. Mind you, I think you got some of gear for free. I just want to be transparent, right? I love these, and I'm so happy that I finally got to use them because they are the latest things, and I've been using REI ones, and there's nothing against them, but it has been like my white whale for years, where it's like that's the one thing I didn't buy myself, and that I haven't tested, and that I want to test, and we're in honestly.
We're not selling tickets here. They
No,
already
we're
got
not.
one.
But I think we're in such a great position where we can test anything we want. I just want to tell you guys how much I was excited about these trekking poles when I give them away, so you're not just like, ugh, trekking poles. They were exciting for me, so I want to make them exciting for you. Anyway, Moose Juice.
I'm ready. Okay.
If he wins, guys, I am a witch. I want you to tell everyone you know. I'm gonna pull it with this handle. Okay. 506, as we probably all are. 30 0 7. Hey! This is Zach Shane. You know how much I love these. I don't have to check my trust you. If you're lying, it's 7 years good luck.
Right. We can't raffle off everything right now because otherwise they'll leave.
I don't have anything else in mind.
Okay, good, perfect. Any more audience questions? Get someone up here a second. Okay, there we go.
Alright, so Dirtmonger, you seem like the kind of guy that thrives on variety, new experiences and stuff. So if you had to just do one trail for the rest of your life, what would it be?
One trail for the rest of my life. Oh my lord.
Does it have to be trail or can it be route?
Anything. Wherever.
Yeah.
Is it like he finishes it, he has to go back to the start, and is this like pushing the boulder up the hill?
No, it's not Sisyphus, it's
Yeah, that's the fuck, I think I want to say the CBT.
It's kind of a shocker.
Yeah, from a man who loves the PCT.
I know, but the CBT is like, it's like out there a lot of times. It's not quite as busy as the PCT, and it's fucking rad. And you could do it, southbound and northbound are so different than each other, with all the colors going fall. So I've done both each way, so they're so different. It's like doing two different trails going each direction. Yeah. Plus it's in the Rockies, that's where I live. It's pretty fun. Yeah.
Good question. Any others?
Yeah, come on up.
Hey, another former guest.
On the days or weeks that you see absolutely no one,
Mm-hmm.
is there a point to where you ever mentally struggle? Because it sounds like you don't. Do you ever?
I mean, I have my moments for sure. If I had to choose to like be solo in the middle of nowhere versus like be around a lot of people, I would definitely choose be in the middle of nowhere solo. But I do struggle like sometimes with things, and a lot of times it's like weather fucking pounds you, and you just need to like hunker down and do whatever and like, you know, occupy yourself. I mean, I'm not like opposed to like listening to Conan O'Brien on the fucking trail. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like I find my way to get through stuff, but I think when it does get tough, though, it generally makes me more eager for things. You know, like it's only because of the new shit I'm seeing, and whether it's, I don't know, seeing something different, like that kind of takes over anything that I might feel solo. Like you don't have time to think about that shit a lot of times. Like just what's in front of you, how do you get through it? You know.
Have you ever had a mental collapse on trail, like a MTB, a little mental breakdown?
I mean, we've all had. Like I can tell you a story. Like in 2011, my first official through on the PCT, I met Scott Williamson up north, and I'll never forget this. It was like seriously the first lesson moment, and I was walking with a guy named Rhino, and we got to Panther Creek, and just outside of Panther Creek in Washington, and there was this like dude with his shit all over the fucking trail. And this guy's the tiniest backpack you've ever fucking seen. It was just all over the trail, and I knew exactly who that person was. Like I just, you know, Rhino had no idea, and I was like, oh shit, that's the Michael Jordan of hiking. And he was going through it, and I was like, you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm all right. It's like, today's not the day. Like my knee's all fucked up, and he's like, I'm having a garage sale here. His gear was all over the place, and then he like snapped like into reality, and he looked at us and goes, this is better than any day in the office. And I was like, yeah, I'll never forget that. And that's what he said, and it's kind of the same thing I took to heart since then. It's like the person that I thought at the time was like the best doing it was like struggling, and it was still better than anything that you could do in real life. Like, well, that was his real life, right? So like it was the coolest thing that I vividly remember seeing. And when I saw him in 16 in Stehekin, and he knew who I was, and you know, and he was like, oh my God, he knows who I am. But it was like, we're sitting there like, he bought me lunch at Stehekin, and I was like, do you remember that time in 11 and I saw you? He's like, I kind of remember that. It's like, you just don't forget shit when you're involved in it. Like, and it was just so cool, like to have that come back, and it's like, I never forget that.
Look at one from my girl Maureen.
Hey, Chaunce.
Hi.
I have a two-parter. First is for Dirtmonger. When you are deciding that you want to forge a new trail and kind of be the first one on a new path, how do you mentally balance that with LNT?
Ooh, yeah. I think a lot of the stuff that I will try to find is when I do satellite imagery to understand the wildlife that's out there, and with coinciding with the maps that are already produced, and see which trails that are actually like in production, have been documented. I definitely don't try to go off trail that are already there a lot of times, which in like Nevada, there was so many different trails that were cattle or wild horse. I didn't want to like defy that without being conscious of like creating extra trumping on stuff. The hard part is like water, because a lot of that water that is out there is more for wildlife and cows than it is for like people. So I take what I can, and if I'm trying to do a cache, I try to make it the most accessible that I can without like bearing too much. I don't want to disrupt anything that I don't have to disrupt. Or I'll just carry the fucking thing and then try to hitch if I have to. Which at times that provides me more with like the responsibility without taking away from the wildlife that's out there. I think that's the thing that affected me the most. I've heard like on the Great Basin Trail, there's like a spring where I've seen it full. One day it's gone because the horses drink it all. And that's like a spring that we're supposed to rely on, but it's like, well, we're not like we're not supposed to be there really. So how do you like take care of that? So I think it's being mindful of that and actually being willing to carry stuff. I think that's a big thing. It's not just like following one point to the next, it's like being willing to like carry that extra weight. You know?
Awesome, thank you for that. Second part is for Chaunce and Zach.
Stop it.
I came to the hiker meetup for the holiday party in December and I made you guys Christmas cookies.
We remember.
And upon purchasing my ticket for tonight, I promised Chaunce that I would make you guys more stuff. So
I told her that we are like The Office, where Jim is like ringing the bell or doing whatever, and he's giving Dwight the mint. That's what she's doing to us with all these things. I told her that at the Christmas one. I was like, you're gonna make us like accustomed to see you and be like, we're gonna be used to cookies.
Yeah. You guys are all playing for second
saw you
place
with
for
the bag.
second favorite audience member.
I saw you with the bag and I was like, I don't want to assume, but I think she might be. What's the word? There's like a psychological word for
Pavlov.
She's Pavloving. It's working.
Alex?
So I don't have cookies, but as someone who's not as familiar with your story, I'm just curious as to, out of all these trails, what was the one that really made you fall in love with this whole lifestyle, and if so, why?
Yeah, I think it was the Altiplano Traverse, for sure. I think I mentioned it earlier, whereas I don't know, if you've hiked a long trail, your whole life goes through your freaking first month on trail and you're just processing everything. But like at that point in time, I'd been doing it for like 8, 9, 10 years or something like that. And I think it just got to the point where nothing was bothering me from what was behind me or what was in front of me. It was just what was there. And to me, that was by far like that Satori type moment where that's exactly what I've been wanting to do my whole life. And that's what I've been trying to seek by going to Australia, going to New Zealand, going to southern Spain is coming out. Like that's the thing I'm trying to seek. It's not the flow anymore as much as like that moment where it's just being in the exact moment what's in front of me. Yeah.
All right, if there are no other questions, we'll move on to segments. Before we get to segments, can we get a round of applause for this? It's amazing because he does none of this for the accolades. Like he's not on. So you're on social media, but you're not active.
I do it for the farts.
I guess with that said, where should people go to keep up with you? Plug all your stuff.
My phone number?
Yeah, your social security number, home address.
Gosh, it feels weird saying it. I have Instagram.
Do you want me to go to the show notes?
I know it, but it just seems weird saying it out loud. But it's pancave_Uno. And then I have a website. If you have any curiosity or want to of the Great Basin Trail, you can go to freedirtmonger.com. Freedirtmonger.com, and then just email me. We'll talk about stuff. You know, there's a lot. It's a resource set on there and everything else, and I provide you with maps, GPS, water chart, food resupply, and all that stuff like that. So if you have any interest on that, I'm not going to tell you to read my shit. It's garbage.
Yeah, clearly this guy knows nothing. It is freedirtmonger.com. Is it? He's the most humble guy. He doesn't even know his own website.
Is it really?
Yeah. Well, Dirtmonger, you're the best. Thank you so much for doing
thanks
this.
for having
We're
me.
very grateful.
Guys, what's that talks again? how is it like listening to this live? Is this any fun?
Yeah.
That's the thing, I'm not saying this to bait you into saying yes to like pump our tires. Like this isn't like a crowd engagement thing. Like is this like actually enjoyable?
Yeah.
Like enough to where we should do it again, or like, is this like okay? I appreciate the honesty.
Those are pity claps, I think.
We can go back and listen and check.
Yeah, for sure. Probably let us know. Okay, before we get to our typical segments, this is one I've been putting off now for an episode and a half. Is I've never gotten, nor do I think anyone here has gotten the full story. Chaunce was recently engaged. Her fiance has been back there in the corner slinging hats. You guys should all buy a hat. And handing out raffle tickets. Thank you, Garrett. But we never actually got the story on how that went down.
This was so hard because sometimes we don't record Backpacker Radio in order. Like sometimes we record out of order because it makes more sense that way. For example, we just recorded with Java and we just put out an episode with Java, so we want some space between Java and Java because that's what we all need.
It's too much Java.
Do you need
Anyone that knows Java knows that it's too much Java.
Yeah, you need to recover from Java before getting more Java. But this is like 2 days after this happened, and I come in and I'm like placing the hand places, and like Zach's saying nothing. And I'm like, for a man who has bought a ring, say something. And like in between the episode and the segments, I was like, also you haven't said anything. Like I just like as a bitch, I'm like, also you haven't brought this up, and I would like just like know why. Because I've been ready to tell you about it and you haven't said anything. And he's like, well, Rachel, obviously throwing our lovely podcast coordinator under the bus, is like, Rachel thinks it would be better for you to tell this story on the live show because that airs first. So chronologically for the listener, it will make more sense. That does make sense. I just hate for him to throw sweet Rachel under the bus when she likes you better. I'm just trying to tilt her in my favors.
Daddy's girl.
But, okay, so I had
That's an inside joke, by the way, not a sexual
Zaddy. Yeah, for Zach being a married man, we make a lot of sexual jokes towards him that actually have no sexualness in them.
Hey!
Zach is like the gross cousin at the reunion that you never think about. At least to me, like I've had, and I'm not gonna tell you who because I don't want you to get an ego, but I've had hiker friends who are like, Zach's kind of hot, and I'm like, to who? And it's just because I think I know you in this context where it's like I could. Like, imagine trying to think of your cousin different.
Before we go on, who are these friends?
I'm not married.
By name?
You were married to Jennifer Aniston. You were fine. Anyway, so basically I had to keep this to myself on Tuesday, and I felt very upset about it because I just wanted to scream on the rooftops. So, I'm engaged. If you listen to Backpacker Radio, which Garrett does not, I gave him a lifetime pass of please don't ever listen. I talk about a lot of things that will make you unattracted to me, and really you're not like super into long distance hiking, it won't be interesting.
She shit in a bag, Garrett. She shit in an actual bag.
I don't know if I told him that. Did you know that I shit in the bag on the Foothills trip? I can't see you because I'm not wearing my glasses.
It hasn't come up yet.
We'll talk about it. I was comfortable in my tent. I didn't want to dig a hole. So I shit in my food bag. Anyway, we're engaged now, so he can't take it back.
Again.
I'm not giving this back. If he ends it, if you end it, this is mine. If I end it, we'll talk. But if this doesn't work out, it's because of you. You're gonna have to pry this off my cold dead body. Anyway, so he doesn't listen to Backpacker Radio, so what he hasn't been hearing is in the episodes leading up to this, me being like, I think it's coming, like, this episode airs in April, I think, this is when I thought he was doing it over Easter. I was like, by the time this episode airs, I think he'll have done it. It didn't happen over Easter. I got COVID. I actually ruined Easter. And then the episode came out, and I was like, everyone's going to be like, oh my god, Chaunce is an idiot. But basically, we went out to lunch last Sunday to the place we had our first date at. And then we drove to Mount Falcon. Has anyone ever hiked at Mount Falcon? Mount Falcon? Yeah, good views. He proposed there. I was a little tipsy because he got me 2 glasses of wine and an espresso martini. I love an espresso martini. So I was running around Mount Falcon to people that were minding their own business. And I was like, what's that? You want to see the ring? Okay. And I was going, and they're like, sure. And they're like, we don't want to see it. And I'm like, you do. Like, this is my moment. Live it with me. And I had told him to message Twinkle for photos because I love Twinkle's photos. And Twinkle was out of town, that little rascal. But he pointed Garrett in the direction of this woman that was amazing, that took great photos. And so I'm like, this is it, this is the moment, this is all of it. We ran around and frolicked and like fake spinned and like laughed at each other's faces for a while for these photos, and it was wonderful. Harper was there. And the whole time, like something was a little weird because when we left the restaurant, mind you, I had 2 glasses of wine and an espresso martini. So I had just peed when we left the restaurant. And when we went home to pick up Harper, a 5-minute drive, I had to pee again. And he was like, you can't go inside. And I was like, that's strange. Can I pee in the alleyway? And he was like, yeah, but like that's kind of weird if our neighbors see it. So I was like, okay. And like I'm kind of getting what's happening here, so I'm like testing how close to the house I can get. I'm like, can I pee in the yard where Harper pees? And he said yes. So there's a photo of me. I took a selfie in my pretty dress, peeing in our yard where Harper pees. And then I had to pee again right before Mount Falcon. So he made a joke that every time we drive up there, we will know where we got engaged and where I peed on the curb. But yeah, it was perfect. We get back to the house, and Alex, who is in the Avs jersey at the table over there, our housemate, our throuple, him and Fireball, for anyone who listens to the pod, Mims, my hiking partner for life, BFFL, threw us a surprise party when we got home. So we get home, it's a Sunday night, no one likes to leave their house on Sunday. I'm already suspicious of this because it's Sunday, and I'm like, we don't like to leave our house on Sunday. And like 30 of our friends were in our house on a Sunday. Like that's the part that blew my mind the most. On a Sunday night, came out, hid in our house to surprise us when we got home. He had a cake set up. He had flowers everywhere, these yellow tulips everywhere. He had these engagement balloons, like, and 30 people on a Sunday. I was suspicious of something. I did not expect that. All to say, long-winded. I'm glad you guys are here for my hour-long story. I know, right? All that to say, it was amazing. I'm on cloud 9. I'm starting to get wedding prices. I'm also having anxiety, but it was fantastic. Everyone give Garrett a round of applause. He did an amazing job. Cancel the order for 15 cats. We will not be a seamstress.
That was amazing. Thank you for sharing. I was hoping it wouldn't disappoint, and then you peed in the front yard.
I have the photo. It's honestly a great. I sent it to.
Save it for our OnlyFans.
I sent it to Fireball, and I said, "Am I getting engaged today, or am I just being made to pee in the yard?"
Yeah. Maybe this is a good insertion for our Patreon.
Do you want to put it on there? You can't see anything.
The idea
You
that
can
you're
see my
being
underwear.
would probably be exciting to somebody. Can you stream? Can you see streams?
Oh, I don't know. I can check.
I think that matters. That might matter.
Would you pay more for that? Okay. I'll check.
It just reminds me of the story of the guy who Venmoed you money. I forget the condition, but you told him that you were using it to buy you and Garrett dinner.
Guys, social media is such a strange thing. There was a guy that reached out to me that was like, "Can I Venmo you money?" And I was like, "Why?" And he was like, "Because." And I was like, "But because why?" And I was like, "I have a boyfriend, and like you're not getting anything from this." And he like cut down to Brett, whatever you want to call it. He was like, "I'm just trying to simp here. Just let me." And I'm like, "I don't know what these words mean." And I was like, "If you really want to send me money," because we like at this point we're on an episode laughing about this, and I'm like saving my responses for while we're on air because I'm like, I don't know how to handle this. I'm like, I don't know. And I was like, if you really want to send me money, I'm gonna take Garrett out to dinner with it. Like if I tell you that and you still want to send me money, and you're getting mad at me because he was like, well, let me buy like sending you Venmo for some books, and I was like, why don't I just like donate them? He was like, stop being altruistic. I just want to send you fucking money. I don't know what it was, but I was like, okay, I'm taking Garrett out to dinner, and so I took Garrett out to dinner, and we sent him a selfie of us out to sushi. He fucking loved it. He still messages me, and I don't get what this is. I don't know what it is.
I think it's an entire genre, is what it is.
He's not dating. I'm not sending him feet pics. I'm not sending him anything.
Look up incel on the internet, and you'll figure it out. It's good. It's good.
There's a lot of like quiet stories that happen behind the scenes of the podcast. You guys are doing face.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing those.
You're welcome. My life is your life.
Let's get to a couple of our typical segments. We're going to skip over truck propaganda for today. Today's question of the day, this has to be yours.
Yes, it is.
Do you want to say it?
Yeah. So this was one as with most of them, I'm not creative enough to come up with them on my own, but I find them on the internet. I've joined a lot of Facebook groups. I've become that person. I'm in ones called beautiful table settings. I'm in ones I'm in child-free Facebook groups, and I want kids, but I've managed to get in them because currently I'm child-free, loophole, and they just talk shit. They call parents breeders. It's the wildest place I've ever
Calls
been.
what?
Breeders.
Breeders?
And they
Is that supposed to be an
actively
insult?
hate kids.
Okay.
It's the most fascinating space I've ever been in. And one day they'll kick me out because they know they check people's pictures to make sure you don't have kids in them. But all this to say, I am in Facebook groups. I am the Facebook mom of the world that does Facebook. And what was I telling you about?
Question of the day.
Yeah, okay, so one of them was this question, which was, how much money would someone have to pay you to live in a dumpster for a month? And I read this and I was, in my mind, not much. But in what context? And so I started reading the comments because I was like, surely this can't be this easy. And they said, you have to live in the dumpster, you can leave it during the day to go to get food somewhere, go to shower, go to this and that, but you can't live indoors in that you can't leave the dumpster, hang out inside all day, and then only go back to the dumpster at night. You can go indoors to cook food, or you can go indoors to shower, but when it comes to
Aren't you describing camping right now?
that's what I thought when I read it. I was like, this sounds like a pretty sweet gig. For the amount of money people were saying, I was like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, so I guess $20. I don't know what they.
But that's why I made it a question of the day, because I was like, surely maybe I'm wrong in this being. So
My assumption was
easy.
you're constrained to the confines of the dumpster for a month, which is that's it.
You can't leave the dumpster.
Should we
For
modify
this to be an
it?
interesting conversation, I think that's.
Like you have your little pee-poo corner?
No, I think it's
you can
just
retrofit
you're
the dumpster.
pooing in the place you sleep.
Well, I know you would surely pick a corner.
There's
right?
no corners.
You're just
It's
gonna.
just one space.
You're just making a sleeping pad.
What's in there? Is there any trash in there?
I would say a third full of random dish stuff.
Yeah, let's change the
Unknown.
parameters because what you're describing is backpacking.
Well, okay, so I
and
thought that was a neat thing. I was like, maybe I'll make this a question of the day because I don't know. We talk about showering.
What smells worse, the garbage?
Yeah, you're
can
describing
or
just a
your
perfectly
sleeping?
waterproof tent instead of that tent. Which
thought
the
this-
one
I
is
thought
very
this was
good.
a
It's a
neat
great tent. It's a
thing.
drinking
Okay, now
tent
you're
that
kissing
weighs-
ass.
Yeah, so
What was
let's.
that?
A great comparison.
The one to forget it's the one you need. It is now the dumpster you'll live in for a month. The one.
Alright, so yeah, we have to change the parameters because otherwise the dollar amount is nothing. Let's say you have to be in the tent.
How big is this dumpster?
No, it's a dumpster. It's not a dumpster.
Typical dumpster size.
Alleyway dumpster?
Yeah, just like your standard dumpster. You can shit on the outside of it because technically your
Does
legs
it
are
have
still
flappy
hanging.
lids or
Oh,
does
you
it
mean
have
hover
no?
it.
Yeah, you gotta cover. How much do you have to get paid?
I think it's
Not
hard to
the-
hover off it though, because you have those little indentations.
You can
on
shit
it.
outside of it. You don't have to shit in it.
But you can't leave it though.
You
You
can
gotta
hang
hover
your
off it.
asshole over the edge of it while you're
Yeah.
holding on to
That's
it.
drastically
That's hard.
different.
Yeah, I mean, it's
If I can
dangerous.
go out, no, because they have the side window on a lot of those with the
Side
Side
window?
window?
Yeah, they've got a side window. It's like a sliding
I
box.
want this.
I think you're describing.
No, this is a
Cyber
dumpster.
truck.
There used to be people in my high school that would hide 30 racks in them, and we would know, and we'd slide up to the side window and we'd take them.
Is it drive-through?
Oh, dumpsters have side windows. Who knows this? The dumpsters have those. Dumpsters have side windows. You slide them for easy
Is
access.
this like Florida?
This is the dumpster. It has a side window.
Okay. Alright, so you have to stay in the dumpster for a month. What's your number?
And honestly, if we hit this, I'll do it. Probably 10K. After tax. That's crazy.
That's
So hot.
Oh, it's hot.
that's way too low.
When I heard issue, so I was like, you should do it for
No,
this.
no trash. It's a Clean dumpster.
We'll say clean dumpster.
If it's a clean dumpster,
Wait,
I'll
there's
do
no-
a catabatic quilt. That's what I'll do for it.
Pretty
I'll do a quilt.
cool. Jersey, I'm pretty sure you can get this guy in a dumpster right now.
Yeah,
for-
we're gonna be messaging Chris right after the show. You
My
know
number
what?
was like 7
Wait, no,
figures.
you
You
know
guys
what?
are insane.
Because I actually would love for this to happen. Can
Yeah.
if we're near Wi-Fi and I can work out of this dumpster and it doesn't like impact my ability to have a job, I will also go into the dumpster for a catabatic quilt. I gave mine to a
Yeah.
homeless guy and I regret it every day of my life. I don't feel
Yeah,
altruistic.
I think it's worth it to go for a catabatic quilt.
Yeah,
Like,
I
for
will
sure.
do that with you.
Yeah.
Let's email Chris and say if you want Dirtmonger and just be such a social experiment. You
Like, but is it summertime, wintertime? Because if it's wintertime, I do a Sawatch.
No,
If
I
it's
don't do winter.
Summertime, I do a
This is like
Palisade.
near future. This is like as soon as Catabatic gives it the okay
Yeah.
and funds the dumpster
You might
rental.
need definitely a silk liner for that shit. There's gonna be like rat poop all over the place, vomit, human vomit
No,
probably.
this is you said empty.
It's like, is it like,
Where's this? Where's
where's
this
this
from?
dumpster like at?
We're renting one.
Well, can we like put it in the city and then talk about this?
So we can park it outside my house.
I mean, there's gonna be people using it, like hovering the shit outside of it, but also like hovering on the shit inside of it.
Yeah, I'm picturing a clean dumpster. If somebody's trying to shit in a dumpster that I'm living in, we were gonna have words.
I'm gonna have to give him a stern talking to.
I think that's why we used the Gossamer umbrella.
Yeah. We're product placement around the dumpster.
Yeah.
Can we put,
Gossamer gear for when you're in a dumpster.
Yeah. That'd be great.
can we put the dumpster in my garage, or is that cheating?
I think that's cheating, unless your hubby over there is like pooping in the dumpster.
He's already tuned out of the podcast.
Just
He's
that-
following
Wait, you got a
No,
dog?
he has his iPad over there because he's watching hockey. The Caps and the Avs are playing tonight. Did they do good? Garrett?
They did great.
Did they win?
We're
Did
still
they win?
going. We're still going.
What's the score?
It's 2-2 now.
For who?
It's-
That's not what this is too. It's the Avs and the Caps. We're not playing each other, guys.
Garrett, it's not too late, bro. You can break it off. Just ask who was winning in a 2-2 game.
She prefers the
We're
dumpster.
playing different games, guys.
The Caps lost.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you
She
hate the
prefers
Caps?
it.
Okay, this is upset.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do our next segment. I think we scratched the itch.
Yeah, that was good. We're going to
We're doing the Triple Crowns. When we cued Dirtmonger onto what the subject was beforehand, and his eyes lit up, which is kind of outside of the realm of anything you'd think with backpacking conversation would be. This is the Triple Crown of sports movies. We've been hanging on to this one for a little bit here because it's such a juicy subject. We obviously wanted to save it for you guys. Chaunce, I'm gonna let you go first. I feel very passionate about this.
I was going to insert myself there because I did homework for this last night because we talked about this on the Java episode and we did a Triple Crown of movies. You cried too, a lot of overlap. But you mentioned The Patriot, and the whole time I thought The Patriot was about the Patriots. And you told me that it's about the Revolutionary War, which makes a lot of sense. But this whole time I thought it was a wholesome sports movie. I also have a superpower. My brother used to get really, really upset with me when we were growing up. We had a Nintendo 64 and Ocarina of Time, Zelda, and that was it. And so we finished the game, we beat it, and then we'd restart it. And my memory is so bad that when I would restart it, I wouldn't remember any of the plot. And he would remember how he played it, and he would get really mad about that. But the same goes for movies. Like when I watch them, if any amount of time passes, I completely forget the plot. So last night I was doing research for this, and the boys over there were telling me we could watch either Remember the Titans or Friday Night Lights, and both are great sports movies. We settled on Friday Night Lights. I also have a personality where I don't like conflict, and I like love, and I don't like unhappy endings, and this is like a very big factor in my choices here. I didn't know they lost. I mean, I've seen the movie before, but I forgot the plot. And then they lost, and I was so mad last night. I was like, why would you put this on for me? Why would, like, you know I don't like these things. Like, there's no positive outcome. Like, I was very mad. So Friday Night Lights I thought would be on my list, and if it's on one of yours, I don't know why. But I, last night, was livid about this movie because I forgot that they lost, and I was just very upset.
The one with Al Pacino?
That's any given Sunday. Where the eyeball falls out on the field. Yeah.
That didn't happen in this one. This was like high school.
Dirtmonger, I also haven't seen Friday Night Lights.
Okay, don't bother. I don't know why people talk about it so much. It wasn't good.
Oh wait, that's that guy from Bloodline. What's his name?
You're making eye contact with the
Yeah.
wrong person. Anyway, my first one.
But that was not your answer?
No, that was
That was your non-answer?
That was what upset me yesterday. My first one is Miracle. Best sports movie ever in my mind. I thought this was a documentary on Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky. Now I date a hockey goalie, and I learned that Miracle is not that. And then I watched it expecting that, and what I got was so much better. So Miracle is my first one. Amazing sports movie. God, it was so good. I'll watch it tonight.
I haven't seen that one either.
See, you have to.
I know.
It's so. He's like, what team do you play for? And they don't answer right, and then they keep running these laps, and then he finally gets it. He says, United States of America, and you start crying.
I just said all that so you give us the plot. Thank you.
There's so much more to it than that. It's like the first 20 minutes.
Yeah. All right, Dirtmonger, you're up next.
I'm up? Okay. Well, I do want to say, before you get into movies, if you really want to see me in a television show, you can see me in Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Are you serious?
Season 4, episode 7 maybe, back in like
You and
1997.
Sinbad were hanging out?
No, Mr. Cooper and Cheryl Miller were in there, and I had a little
I thought
flat
Mr.
top.
Cooper was Sinbad, but I confused
That's
people.
pretty dorky. Probably had no beard yet. Kind of weird. Anyways, that's my favorite first television show.
Is it sports?
Hanging with. Does anyone know Hanging with Mr. Cooper?
No.
Is that a basketball?
Oh.
Yeah. I was on one of their episodes.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Is that just typical LA kid life? Just
Pretty
like an
much,
extra
yeah,
on a
pretty
TV
much,
show?
yeah. A lot of my friends love that because they get to see me wearing baggy blue jean shorts and a white t-shirt, like looking like a dork. Yeah, shake head, looking like an idiot.
Yeah.
I think I was like 19 years old. Sure. Favorite first sports movie is, I think I gotta go with Bull Durham. Yeah, I think I had a crush on Susan Sarandon. Second one is The Longest Yard, the original one.
Oh, you're just doing all three right now? You gotta wait in line, bro.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. So we do a snake draft.
Yeah,
Well, you didn't tell me this.
So
All
you're
right, I'm good.
you're in luck because you're in a different demographic than we are. I'm
Yeah,
assuming
I'm old.
neither of those movies are on
That
Chaunce's
was
list.
me.
Okay,
Are they on your list?
Bull Durham.
Bull Durham. It's
Yeah.
a good one. It's a good one. Yeah. I'm gonna go with my honest first one, and I hope that there's at least one other person in the audience that can agree with this. It's Happy Gilmore. Getting in a fist fight with Bob Barker is an all-time scene. Like, it's one of those where you can't watch that movie for the first time and go more than 45 seconds without laughing. It's funny from start to finish, and Chubbs may rest in peace.
I love that.
Well,
I
you know,
did not
Chubbs
think that.
didn't have a left arm because he was missing his left arm in Predator.
It's true. That's a real fact.
Yeah, that's like the important fact.
That's an important fact. You come to Backpacker Radio for
Brings
the
it back
facts.
to Arnold.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of Carl Withers, my number 2 here is, this will date me a little bit as well. Rocky 4.
Wow.
So, for those who are not familiar, Rocky 4 is the movie where Apollo Creed fights Drago. What's his name?
Ivan Drago.
Ivan Drago.
He dies.
For an exhibition match, and Apollo Creed, who's Rocky's best friend, gets murdered in an exhibition match in the beginning of the movie. And the entire movie is Rocky training for this fight in an impossible outcome with a guy who's like a steroid-added Russian freak who's grown in a lab, terrifying, just murdering his friends, and of course
Does he win?
he wins in the end.
Okay, I will watch that.
Yeah. Maybe skip Rocky 1 based on what you said about any given
Conflict?
Yeah.
Not
Make
like
you
me
sad.
anyways.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Okay, so now
Mine's-
Durham was number 2, so Chaunce is your 3.
You have a second, because it's a snake.
Yeah, I just gave both of them. Happy Gilmore and Rocky.
Oh yeah, okay. I never remember that. Invincible. This is about when the Eagles did like open tryouts for like the peasants, I guess, of Philly, like not football people, just like regular families. Yeah, and, you know, just like Philly, I don't know, like non-football Philly people, like people in Philly that aren't football.
You mean
You can
Philly
try.
fans?
No, just like anyone. You don't even be a fan. Just anyone who wants to try it out. Come.
Fucking losers out there.
The peasants.
And this guy comes and like makes the team, and everyone's like he doesn't belong, and it was amazing. And it's based on a true story, and there was a happy ending. And I specifically hate the ones without not everything needs to be a movie, right? And so if it's a story that doesn't have a happy ending, even if it's based on a true one, you don't need to make a movie out of it. If it has a happy ending, make a movie out of it. That's my take. And so that one I thought was incredible. And my third one, since you took Happy Gilmore, thankfully I had a backup, I'm going with Talladega Nights.
Good answer.
That is NASCAR a sport? To be determined, but if it is, this is a great sports movie. Very quotable, very fun.
Yeah.
Longevity.
It's your favorite Jesus? Alright, you get your third
And
one.
my third one? Jeez, what did I say the first one? The first two. I would go, I think I gotta go with Caddyshack. Yeah, Rodney Dangerfield's classic. Yeah.
I love that 2 golf movies made the triple
Yeah,
crown.
it's pretty great. Yeah, pretty great. You do the Rodney Dangerfield dance, it's pretty great.
I also, to circle back to yours, I just got intel. Apparently I fell asleep during Rocky 1. I don't remember that, but I
That
guess
was
I
to
did.
brace for the disappointment that was going to come with the plot.
Yeah.
Good.
Rocky 3 is the best though.
I was torn between 2, 3,
That's
and
Hulk
4 are
Hogan.
the best.
The Ultimate Man versus the Ultimate Meatball. Like,
Yeah.
it's the best.
This was America. This is the same thing as
Has Mr.
Miracle.
T
This is
in it,
America
too?
versus Russia.
Yeah, I know,
There
it's
was
like
some
Cold War
patriotic.
stuff. Yeah.
You've never seen, you can't say this is the same thing as Miracle, you've never seen Miracle.
But I know the story behind Miracle.
Oh.
You watched a Disney.
I just heard someone catch their tongue over there.
And this last one, I'm going to go with a plug for our editor, Polly Shawcross. Who here has seen the movie Little Giants?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I just said that!
Yes.
Little Giants and Sandlot!
That was my other movie, by the way. Thank you very much. We should talk after this. Little Giants was written by our editor's father. He's the writer of the movie Little Giants. So
Icebox!
Icebox is right, yeah. So I gotta give a plug to our guy, Polly Shawcross. His dad, Bob Shawcross, is a very respected writer and advertiser, and Little Giants is legitimately a very good movie. Ed O'Neill, classic.
Yeah.
What else is there to be said?
Great.
We'll save honorable mentions for when there's not 50 people here waiting for us to wrap up the podcast. Should we do Trail Confessions, or should we save that for a future episode?
You guys want a trail confession?
Yeah.
To give some background, this is a brand new segment that we're waiting to unveil. You want to give the context?
Yeah, has anyone hiked the AT?
Yeah!
Okay, you guys know the Free Shelter? How, like,
shelter.
okay. Do you know how like people confess their sins in the book?
Yeah.
We're trying to make a segment where people confess their sins to us, and we're reading them. It's a blatantly like, I don't care, anti-leave no trace ones. We're not giving light to, but there's some good ones that are not violating that too heavily that are also good sins. So we're curating them. So PCT Days 2021. I was asleep in my duplex on Tent Island. I had been asleep a couple hours after having a jolly old time at Gorgeous Beer Cup. So I'm dead asleep and someone comes up and lays down and literally inserts themselves underneath the tent. Like shimmies their legs underneath the floor like a blanket. In a mid-sleep semi-panic, I wake up and I punch the huge thing now sliding underneath me, afraid it was some sort of animal, despite being super close to many other hikers. The bump stops moving and asks, "Did you just punch me?" And I couldn't do anything but laugh. The bump then removes itself and goes on with its evening. I never did look to see who it was. I just went back to sleep. Relieved I was not being attacked by an anaconda. Sorry, hiker that I punched. My tent is not your blanket. LMAO. Starwater.
If you guys have any juicy confessions, we'll save them because the whole premise is anonymity. Is
Yeah.
that the word?
I mean, you put it in.
Yeah. Well, Starwater I don't think is his God-given name, but you guys want to share your confessions with us, podcast@thetruck.co. We have another segment. We should do this one just because it is so brief. We did this on a recent podcast, which you guys haven't heard yet because it hasn't come out, but this is 1-star trail reviews. I had to dig a little bit deeper because we burned all of my favorite ones on the last podcast, but this is a very good 2-star trail review. This is for the Pacific Crest Trail. This is from a lady named Julie Lamphere, and her comment is,
Local guide.
still couldn't find the trailhead.
I love when it puts local guide next to someone's name.
Yeah.
As if they like are an authoritative figure in the area. Yeah.
Let's save the rest of the giveaway stuff. We'll put that at the end of the podcast. That way it's excluded from the recording because I don't think people listening at home care about, what would you say about the dumpster stuff? Anyways, mailbag. Just kidding. Hey, this is Lady Wipes. Here are some submissions. So context here, we are in the process of writing a book about pooping while hiking, pooping on the trail. What's the working title?
Pooping in the woods.
Pooping in the woods, pooping in the backcountry. We haven't totally figured it out yet. We put a call out for you guys to give your submissions for best titles and subtitles. Right now we have a amazing subtitle suggestion, which we haven't used on a podcast because we like it so much we're probably going to use it in the book. But this mailbag is probably not going to be used. I could come up with these all day. The titles are Poo Hiking, Brown Blazing, Tales from a Poo Hike, Pacific Crust Tales, Pacific Crust Piles, When Duty Calls, Hiker Trash Poofay, Try Poo Crown, the ultimate guide to pooping in the woods, LNT, Leave No Turds, Crap Packer Radio, and Fastest Known Turds.
Sometimes you just like think like externally looking at like how did I get myself into this? I was never this person. But these are all really good.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to pick not one like necessarily from this list, but one in general. And they are all gross.
Yeah, that's the whole goal.
Yeah.
You want to do this 5-star review?
5-star review from Recon AT24. Lots of terrific backpacking advice and interesting guests. One of my favorites! Exclamation point. Thank you, Recon AT24.
A super big thank you to our Trip North Award winners on Patreon. That is Alex and Misty with Navigators Crafting, Andrew Austin, Daniel Austin, Fort Bladenberg, 13 Ventures, Brent Sudbury, Brian Alsop,
Fables,
Christopher Marshburn, Coach from Marion Outdoors, Dane,
Fish,
Derek Cook, Eric Harrisman,
Friendly Ghost,
Eric Hoffman, Greg Knight, Greg McDaniel, Haley Buckmans, Jason Snaylor,
Barely Know,
Liz Seeger, Patrick Ciancialo, Spam, Timothy Hunt,
Solo,
and Tracy Trigger. You can follow us on social at Backpacker Pod on Twitter, or X, Backpacker Radio on Instagram. And is TikTok, the last news I saw is TikTok is finally going under. Is this actually going to happen?
It's still thriving.
Okay. Facebook.com/Backpacker. You can follow Chaunce.
You can find me on Instagram at Juliana_Chaunce. You can get my book Hiking from Home, a long distance hiking guide for family and friends on Amazon or from Dirtmonger.
Appalachian Trials, Pacific Crest Trials. Got a few copies left, I think. Subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Thanks for watching us. Another shout out to Dirtmonger, who is the fucking. Shout out to you guys for sitting here for 3 hours listening to us to dribble on. Thankfully, we had an awesome person to fill most of that time. And that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening, and happy hiking.